Great to have you here for the Course Creators Lab, sponsored by Launch Academy. My name is Chris Kyle, and we have an amazing event for you today. We have some incredible speakers and experts in their field that are going to share their wisdom with you. So super excited to have you here today. So thanks again for showing up and taking your time on this Saturday. I'm going to ask actually the host if you could mute yourself, including you, Jeff. There we go. Great. Perfect. So again, if you're just joining us right now, I know people are just rolling in. My name is Chris Kyle, founder of Launch Academy. And so welcome to the Course Creators Lab. What we'd like to do is just engage you right off the top here. So in your screen there, you can look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and there's a chat button. And just go ahead and click on the chat button and go ahead and type in where you live, where you're from. And just so we can kind of see some of you where you're dialing in from, so to speak. Awesome. So we've got Eugene, Oregon, California, Asheville, North Carolina. Shannon, all right. Awesome. And from Amarillo, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Maryland. Awesome, you guys. Great. So just keep flowing it in. You'll see people from all over the world. San Miguel de Allende in Mexico. Welcome. That's Beverly. Beautiful. And Massachusetts, San Francisco. So people from all over the world here, thank you. This is my dream and my vision is to help people become global messengers, to reach a global audience with their message. And so a lot of what we're going to focus on today is you as a course creator, you as getting your message more fully out into the world, bringing it out in an online program, an online course that changes lives and is also lucrative and financially supportive for you. So we're going to dive in. I'm going to just give you a quick introduction to each of our panelists, and then we're going to dive in, and I'll give you a deeper introduction as we go forward. So our first panelist here, I'm just kind of looking at it on my screen, is Chris Van Buren. And Chris is the founder of Launch Moxie and an online marketing expert. Hey, Chris, want to say hi?
Howdy. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you here. And then another of our panelists is Lion Goodman. Lion Goodman is the creator of the Clear Beliefs process and also the Clear Beliefs Coaches Training Program. Welcome, Lion.
Thank you, Chris. Great to be here. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Great. And then we also have Christina Pratt. And Christina is the founder of the Last Mask Center and also the creator of Energy Body Mastery, a 7-week online course. Hey, Christina.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Happy to be here.
Yay, good to have you here. And then also we have Jeff Affleck. Jeff Affleck is also an online marketing expert, and he's the creator and teacher of the ebook bestseller bootcamp training program. Hey, Jeff. Oh, you're on mute. You went back on mute, Jeff.
Technology is my specialty. Hello, everyone.
Good to have you here, Jeff. And then also, and our final panelist or expert here with us is Catherine Gaile. And Catherine is the founder of Make Everything Fun platform. And she is also the CEO of the Ketchum Innovation Center. Welcome, Catherine. Good to have you.
I'm so excited. We are going to have so much fun today.
That's absolutely. So I am so tickled, literally tickled, to have all of these folks here, because not only are all of them course creators in their own right, but they're also experts in a specific field. For example, Jeff in online marketing and self-publishing, ebook publishing, book publishing, Catherine in podcasting. Christina is a course creator and a teacher, so an expert teacher in her field. And Lion is also an expert and a teacher in his field. And Chris is also an online marketing expert deep in the media and new media. So we got a great program for you. So part of the context today for you folks listening is that we're going to move kind of more like TED style talks. We're going to spend about 10 minutes or so with each of these experts. We're going to explore their course creation or a little bit of their expertise in their field to really give you the tools, tips, insights in course creation and how to possibly launch your course. We'll also talk about some marketing things as well and how do you build your list. But we really want to dive into what it is that you need to do and what are the experts' insights for you in creating your course and launching it. So welcome again. If you have a question, so there is two buttons down there. There's the chat button, but there's also a Q&A button. So as we go through, if you have a question, type it in there, not into the chat. We can kind of lose that in the chat. That will queue up your question. And we are going to do a Q&A toward the end of the call today. So make sure you have your pen and pad ready, or typing on the screen, and we'll be answering your questions at the end as well. You'll also be hearing a little bit throughout the call about Launch Academy. Launch Academy starts this coming week. So it's a great opportunity for you to learn more about that, as well as potentially enroll in the program. So, all right, are we ready to dive in? Panelists, are we ready? Yay, thumbs up, cool. All right, so we're gonna dive in, and let's start. We're gonna start with Jeff Affleck. So Jeff, yeah, you wanna come off mute, and I am going to, I'm gonna read Jeff's bio. I'm good friends with Jeff, but I wanna read it, and so you get a sense of who he is.
Do the quick one.
I have the quick one.
Yeah.
I have.
And by the way, someone says that the buttons are at the top of their screen, not the bottom. I guess it's.
Oh, okay. Okay,
so if you're looking at the bottom, look at the top.
Look at the top. Great. Thanks, Jeff. I forgot. I mean, we use so many different technologies, webinar, Jam, Zoom, like where are the buttons? So thank you. Yeah. Great. All right. So Jeff is an online marketing and self-publishing expert. He's the creator of the ebook bestseller bootcamp online training program for aspiring self-help authors. He's also co-authored 5 #1 best-selling books, including Enlightened Bestseller, 7 Keys to Creating a Successful Self-Help Book, and also Shine Your Light, Powerful Practices for an Extraordinary Life. His clients have included in the past and currently leading contemporary thought leaders and best-selling authors such as Janet Bray Atwood and Chris Atwood of The Passion Test, Panache Desai, Marcy Shimoff, and Joel Roberts, and many others. So, Jeff lives in Duncan, British Columbia, up on Vancouver Island with his wife and daughter, Skyla. Welcome, Jeff. So great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. It's great to be here. Hi, everyone.
Hey. Okay, so Jeff, so this is kind of how it's going to work, folks, is we're just going to dive right into Jeff as course creator and just kind of learn how he built what he built and what are some of the insights, things he's learned in that process. So Jeff, as a course creator, why don't you just tell me what's the course that you created, and let's dive into that.
Oh, great. So as you mentioned, it's called ebook bestseller bootcamp, and it's a 7-week program for aspiring self-help authors, people who've got a message to share. Maybe they've had a life experience and some knowledge, some expertise, maybe even a self-help memoir. And they're really looking for some guidance, some hand-holding on how to get their book from out of their head onto the screen, published on Amazon, and out into the world. And at the same time, wanting to build maybe a brand or a business around that message. And so I also guide them with creating their author platform, their marketing platform, some of the things that we'll touch on today.
Great. And you've touched on a little bit, but who is your avatar for your course? In Launch Academy, we use the term avatar, which is sort of your ideal student,
right,
that especially for audience. So who's your avatar?
It's funny that you mentioned that because she's actually on the call today. Hi, Shannon. Remember, Chris, my avatar, I gave her a name. Her name is Shannon.
Yeah. Shannon,
and,
right.
Shannon is, a woman in her 40s who, has some expertise, a message. Maybe she's a healer and so on. And actually, the real Shannon is actually a therapist. And she was wanting to write her first book. Now, Shannon's already written a few books now because we've been working together for a few years. But that was my avatar. And as it turned out, that's exactly who I attracted to my course. When I look on our Zoom meetings, everybody just about is 8 out of 10 are women, and they're probably around average of 45 to 50 years of age, and that's exactly who I attracted.
Thank you, Jeff. And then give a little bit more about so Shannon, or your avatar that sort of Shannon represents. Some of the deeper, what are her concerns or issues or challenges coming in, and what is her aspiration?
One of the big challenges is just not having a roadmap for how to do it. I have this idea for a book. I know it's in there. I'm trying to birth it, and I just don't know what to do to make it happen. So there was that, and then there's the technology side of things, and what should I do first? Should I write a big book? Should I write an ebook? How do you market the book? How do you get anyone to buy it? Is my, she's kind of wondering, is what I have to say even important? Is it something that people will want to want to read about, or I've got something but I'm not quite sure how to frame it, you know. And there were a lot of my students initially are looking for a little more clarity around exactly what the angle should be on the message of their first book.
So out of that, so you know your avatar, you did that work of really understanding, because I know we worked together on this, so you really did your messaging work. So you got deep into what her thinking, Shannon's thinking, whatever. What was the key messaging for you that came out? Like, how did you respond to that? I don't know, and I'm sure, and I got this book in me. I want to reach more people. How did you focus your message to that challenge?
I think, I mean, there was a few different angles, but the one thing that really seemed to resonate with people is that it doesn't have to be overwhelming. You can start by writing an ebook. It can be quick, it can be short, you can get it out, and then you can leverage the book to build your platform and step into maybe a larger printed book first. So it took away that overwhelm of, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to spend a year and a half writing a book and finding a publisher and all of that. I think that was my message, is that you know what, you can do this, and it's bite-sized, and here's a roadmap with 7 steps, and you know, boom, within a matter of a few months, you're a published author. And the other piece was that you're a best-selling author, not just published and crickets, but actually people downloading your book and reading it. And
that's great. That's great, Jeff. So kind of a key takeaway there is that you really help people to see that they could do it. They could chunk it down, make it more simple for them to take that step, right? Okay, got it. Here's a roadmap, but he's encouraging me to just write an ebook. It could be 20 pages long. Oh, great, done. I don't have to have a 300-page manuscript.
That's right.
So that kind of helped people to get over the hump in terms of, I can actually follow a process that he's got for me. Right. How did you structure your course, Jeff?
The course that I launched was a 7-week live course. So I delivered the modules, every Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was, for a 90-minute session. And I did it on Zoom, just kind of like we are today, but I actually had the Zoom meeting where we can interact and we could see everybody and talk and stuff. So I just recorded those 90-minute sessions, did a little editing on them to, get rid of any stuff that really didn't need to be there. Took a few minutes out of the tape. And then the students who missed the live session could go watch it in the members on the course website that I set up. And then the nice thing about doing it that way is that now that the initial 7 weeks is over, I've got that set up as an evergreen program, so people can come in and watch those videos and go through the course even without my help.
Yeah, and I want to highlight something, Jeff, that's important for the audience to listen. Is Jeff decided to launch it as a live online course, which is awesome. And it's actually what I recommend for course creators right out of the gate, is to do it live, because there's more flexibility than you having to put it all together and box it. And then you use those live teaching sessions as the video, if you will, for each course session.
Exactly.
Because the other way, if you have to do pre-record videos for your teaching session, sometimes that can take more time and energy. And in a way, it's actually easier to launch live.
It's way easier because you've got the energy of the group and the interaction of the group right there. So just sitting there, you in front of the camera, for me, that doesn't work. But when I had the group there, I fed off their energy and their questions, and I just set up a PowerPoint for each one, and we went through it, and there was some interaction. And so those recordings worked out really well. Put them on my members site, and then also had other resources on the members site. And I can even show you that a little bit in a second. Just have a quick tour, and so people can actually see what you're doing.
Yeah.
But the other thing I want to mention is that I decided to go with 2 different options for the course pricing and the course structure. So I had the basic course at $497. And I had a fast track version for twice that, so $997, and that included 3 private sessions with me. Plus, I would promote my students' book to my list when it launched. Right. And I'm really glad I did that, because about half of the people who signed up went for that option. So my advice for you is, you could just offer a $297 course, and that may be fine. But if there's a way that you can add some value, then it's certainly worth considering having a second option to increase your revenue and to help those students who want to go faster and deeper to do that.
Yeah, great.
That was a really good decision. And now I actually have a third option after the live course is over, which is the self-study version with no help from me, where people just, basically just log in and do it at their own pace.
On their own, self-guided.
And that's now at $197, and they're just watching the recording. So now there's 3 ways that people can take the program.
Yeah, so I just want to do a quick highlight there that in creating courses, certainly the recommendation that I make with my clients and in Launch Academy is to launch live. Maybe you do a couple of live launches, and then you can look to start turning that into a self-guided home study program. So meaning you're not stuck in, I've got to always launch this live every time. At some point you can say, here it's available at a little lower price point for that course. Yeah, so it's kind of that shift, and you're making that shift already. Now I have this program that I can have available all the time, 24/7, 365. Just share, before we share your screen briefly, Jeff, just tell us a little bit about the technology that you use, particularly the front end technology, which is what your course participants see.
Yeah. So for those who've watched one of the master classes that Chris has been holding this last week, you'll remember that he talked about there's 2 kinds of technology that you really need. Your front end, which is your email marketing and your...
that's your back end, Jeff. That's your back end. Sorry.
Are you calling that the back end? Sorry.
Back end,
and then, so the front end is the course software itself, where you deliver your content. So the front end, as I said, was Zoom, and then all of the recordings and other materials are on Access Ally, which is a WordPress plugin.
Yeah, great.
I'll show you that in a sec. And then the back end, the CRM I use Infusionsoft for that.
Great. So why don't you go ahead and pull up your screen then? Well, we just got a couple more minutes.
Yeah, I'll just be real quick. So this is the logins. This is the Access Ally WordPress site. So this is what people see once they sign up for the course, and it should just take a sec. It's probably a little slow because of the Zoom. So they come in here, and now initially there was just this one option here and this one. These were the $497 and the $290 and the $997 course. Now I've got more programs on there. I have a free course. I have an entry-level course. This is the basic home study one, which is $197, and then I have an ongoing program for people who graduate from any of these programs. They can then go into this one. So people would log in, and they would see the bootcamp icon, click on that, and then here's what people see. This is the welcome page with a new member orientation video, just an explanation of what people need to do to get started, how to join the live weekly Q&A calls. I have a pre-course questionnaire, a private Facebook group, and then there's a chat feature built into the course website where someone can interact with me if they have a question. And then over here we have the check boxes. So before they even start the first module, there's a few things to do. Watch a video, add something to your calendar, complete the questionnaire, and so on. So they just check these boxes, and then as those are checked, they know that they've taken care of those.
Great.
And then they just dive in here. Module 1, I have 7 modules, and each module, as I mentioned, has a video. So that's the 90-minute video that I recorded live back in November. These little 1 through 7 just allow you to click on a button and go to the right place in the video, just if you want to watch a certain section. So you can just click that, and it automatically takes you to that time marker in the video.
Great.
And then within each module, we'll just show module 1 here, but I have some objectives for each module, and I try to make them it looks like a lot, but they're actually very simple. It's just, review this, read that, do this exercise, and so on. And then when they're done, they can take a 7-question multiple choice quiz, which just tests their understanding of the course material, and then they get a little note that says they passed or whatever. And you can see all throughout, there's ways that they can interact. There's an area here where they can keep notes for themselves that will be there every time they log in. Their notes will still be there. They can interact with me through a question box. And there's even a couple of places, usually one in each module, where they actually have to submit a question to me, and I have to approve their works before they can get the checkbox. So there's a form of accountability built into the course software.
Great, Jeff. I think that's good enough. Yeah, it's
right. Isn't that,
why don't you come off screen
right?
share so I can see you?
Yeah.
Yeah, come off screen share. So awesome. Well, what I love, Jeff, about that, let me exit full screen here. I just love that you really took like Access Ally and used all the features in it. And just for you folks to know, there are lots of feature sets in some of the programs like Access Ally or Teachable, where it can be super simple too. It could just be your simple videos and checklists and a workbook, or you can use the features that Jeff used, as this connection and checklists and quizzes. And it's really up to you about how deep you want to go. But you really, what I like, Jeff, is you really wanted to create a sense of accountability, self-accountability, right? As they move through with a lot of check boxes and all that.
Yeah.
And how did you feel that worked for you of this creating?
People, the participants loved it. They love, especially the left brain ones. They love the check boxes and the quizzes, and it gives them, what it does. And I'm sure Shannon can give me the right terminology, but it gives you a little endorphin rush every time you complete something and you check something off. They get this little high. It's like mice or rats in a lab, and so you're not just watching a video and then turning it off. You're actually having to interact through the course software. They call it gamification of.
Yeah. And Shannon just wrote in a dopamine hit.
Endorphins. Thanks, Shannon. I knew you'd get it right.
She got you. So Jeff, as we wrap up with you, give us a sense of your kind of top 3 sort of tips or insights as a course creator. Because this course, you've done a lot of teaching, working with individuals one-on-one, and very much of an expert in your space. But this was really your first like true course,
right?
That you're teaching it. So what are the takeaways that you want to give to the audience?
Man, I haven't prepared an answer for that. There's so many, but if there was a marketing takeaway, it's the importance of getting partners to promote and share your free event or free book or whatever. I did a webinar to get people interested in the course, because I came in with a list of a couple of thousand, but through my partners probably brought in another close to 1,500 people into my launch list, and the majority of the sales, I would say about maybe 2/3 of the sales that I had were through partners. So I wouldn't have been, if I had just done this on my own, I might have had 10 people from my list, but I actually ended up with 36 because of my partners' help. People like you and Catherine, who was one of my fabulous partners. So that's the key, is building those relationships with your marketing partners early on, so that you've got some help in filling your course.
Great. And for those people that don't know, partners, you've heard the word maybe joint venture partner, JV partners, affiliate marketing partners, all really means the same thing, as finding people that have some following. And they're everywhere. It's not just some mythical creature out there of the partner like a unicorn. And so Jeff just went out to find other people that were maybe aligned with what you're offering, had a following similar, and then said, would you support me in my program?
Exactly. Yeah, it totally works. And I think the other thing was in the first course, when it's still relatively small, is don't be afraid to offer some one-on-one engagement with your participants. The feedback I got from my students is that was the one thing that really made the difference for them, is that they really felt like I cared about their book, and that through the Q&A sessions and the interaction that we have each week, that I was there for them. Even the work through the website. Sometimes with those live chats, I go back and forth with someone 5 or 6 times, helping them refine their book title. And they really appreciated that. And same with the one-on-one session. So if you can work into your course some way to be working with people either in a group setting or one-on-one, it really makes the difference for them. Now, once you scale up and you're getting into the hundreds of students, that's not going to work. But it's a great way to kick off your first one anyway.
Awesome, Jeff. Well, thank you for your insights. Thanks for sharing your front end technology there with Access Ally, and really appreciate it. Wonderful.
Yeah, my pleasure. Great.
Yeah. Thank you. And so, also, we've been talking a little bit about, course creation, with Jeff, and, I helped Jeff. Jeff kind of went through my model and was part of the sort of Launch Academy model. And so, if you haven't been on one of the master classes in the last week or so, where we announced the open enrollment for Launch Academy, I certainly encourage you to check out the Launch Academy course page right now if you'd like to. It's launchacademycourse.com, and maybe Jeff, you can put that in the chat for us.
Absolutely.
So launchacademycourse.com. The first session is this Tuesday, May 8th. But we absolutely know that if people can't make that first session, it's fine. Everything is recorded in Launch Academy. And for those of you that are hearing that for the first time, Launch Academy is a live online training program to help authors, speakers, teachers, coaches, whoever has some kind of message, some expertise, some knowledge that you want to translate into an online course. And Launch Academy provides you everything to do that, A to Z, for you to create and launch your powerful and profitable online course. So I would love to have you in the course. You can check it out right now as you're listening. You can go to launchacademycourse.com and find out more about it. And you'll hear a little more toward the end of our call today about it. And if you have any questions, you can certainly get on the live chat that's on the page. So thank you again, Jeff.
Yeah, sure. If I can just want to add one thing, the work that we did together, I probably could have winged it and done this course on my own. But when I look back, the structure that you gave me for the launching of the course, and that we have this Google Docs dashboard, and we fill in it all, and we plan out the emails and the timing and all of that, and how we're going to interact with recruiting our partners. Without your advice and insights, I know that this would not have been half as successful as as just winging it on my own. And that's what I would say to people. If you're thinking about doing a course, it's certainly worth investing in a step-by-step system, so that you could probably pull it together. But if you follow the system, then your results will probably be exponential compared to what you could have done on your own. So that would be my takeaway.
I really appreciate it, Jeff. And what you did, your program is amazing. So you followed the system and the structure, but you really brought a lot of heart and creativity to it, and a commitment to your students. So that's also at your raving fan students coming out of that were really clear because of your teaching commitment as well. So super happy to see the success you had. So thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, mate.
Wonderful. Sweet. All right. Now we're going to be shifting over to Chris Van Buren. So hello, Chris, if you want to come off mute there.
Hello.
Hello. So I'm so excited to have you here, Chris. I'm going to read his bio for you just so you know who he is, and then I'll share a little personal anecdote. So Chris has worked in online marketing and media for over 20 years as a publisher, marketing director, campaign manager, and launch strategist. He is an expert in content marketing, affiliate marketing, and online strategies, all stuff that you guys need to know. Even if it's at that first level, this is all part of the process of creating online courses, is to know how to market them online. Chris has written numerous books in the technology, travel, and self-help markets, and spent 8 years as a literary agent helping authors get their books published. Hey, you and Jeff have that connection. Awesome. Chris is the founder and president of Launch Moxie, a company that supports entrepreneurs and online teachers by providing marketing services that leverage the power of cooperative marketing. It's a really interesting take that he's bringing to the marketing world here, and distributed content models to drive traffic and sales for ourselves and for our clients. So welcome, Chris. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Sweet. So Chris, I thought would be great here is I know you've done a lot of course creation yourself, but I think it would be valuable to just shift gears and really focus in on this whole idea of free content, that first stage of how we draw people in, and we, lead magnets, all that. Why don't you just kind of give us the lay of the land in that arena?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, 99% of us who are doing courses or any sort of online offering for pay need to introduce the audience to us for free. So, so the first step is always give away something for free. And that something has got to do certain things. It's very important. A lot of people think, oh, I'll give a chapter of my book. Never give a chapter of your book.
Right.
I'll give a sample of my course. Never give a sample of your course. You need to construct the free gift very carefully to do precise things. And those things are, it has to attract the widest audience that is reasonable for your for your course. And I say widest audience reasonable because you don't want to go too wide. You have to bring it in a couple of notches, but you definitely don't want to go too narrow. You don't want to leave out half your audience. So if you're doing a course on, oh, I don't know, yoga, you don't want to have a free offer that is all about yoga for pregnant women. Like, why would that make any sense? You're missing all the rest of your audience. So, and that's just a real simple example, but making sure that the freebie casts the widest net that is reasonable for you, and that it's engaging, that people want what that is. Like, you're going to offer some nugget of goodness in that freebie, and you're going to deliver that nugget.
Could you give us some examples, Chris, just right now of the actual types of things before you move forward? Like, what are some examples? Yeah.
Sure. We do a lot of ebooks. Mini ebooks do these things really well, because another one of the things that a freebie must do is not over deliver. And so mini ebooks do that well. They can be exciting. You can have an exciting title, direct it to the right kind of audience, and then not over deliver, but deliver just the right nugget. So we use a lot of mini ebooks. We've done them on, we've done hundreds really. A lot of things that work really well are when you quantify things like the 5 steps for, or the secret to. If you have a course and you have a big idea in your course, you want to identify that big idea. Okay. And the big idea is what you're doing. It's basically what people have long time called your competitive advantage. What is your competitive advantage? What is the big idea that makes you different from everybody else, that people will raise their eyebrows and go, well, I haven't heard it that way, or I haven't seen that way. I need what that person has. So that's the big idea. And if you have like a big idea, you can put it across in your freebie. Sometimes you can give it in your freebie. You can give the big idea, because then the course is about how to accomplish that. So people still need the course. Now this may not always be the case, but if you're a course creator, look and see if that's true for you. If I can say, look, the secret is, I've done this with courses for my work. I'll say, I'm going to give you the secret to marketing, right? Online marketing. There's one main secret that trumps every other little trick. If you put a button here, don't put a button here, put a video there, don't put a video there. Everybody will have different opinions. And I would say, all of those are fine, but I'm going to give you the secret that's 10 times more important than all of those things. That's pretty intriguing, right? I want to know that secret, right?
Yes, right.
And so I would tell them the secret.
Yeah, and then
on page 1, tell them the secret.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And so what are so ebooks definitely, but also you've talked about like temp blueprints and one-page templates, quizzes. So are those some other ones too? Do you kind of give some other ideas of what are some of these freebies?
Yes. So besides the quantifying, like a secret or the 5 steps or the 5 keys or something like that, quizzes work really well, which you have to be careful with quizzes though, because you need to make sure that they lead to the course. And I'll just cut right to the chase. The best quizzes that lead the best ways are quizzes that give you one of several options. Which kind of blank are you? And there's 5 possibilities. Which kind of entrepreneur are you? Which kind of your friend are you? Which of these is your primary whatever? And those tend to work the best because people want to know. It's intriguing, and you're actually giving them a piece of information that is something they want to know. But it also doesn't close the loop. You're leaving the loop open. Now you say, okay, so you're a inspirational entrepreneur as opposed to some other kind of entrepreneur. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, come into the course. I'm going to teach you how to develop that.
Right. So the quiz kind of helps to organize by type or personality or approach. And then that helps. And then the course is, hey, we work with all these different types to help customize whatever your approach to whatever you're doing.
That's right. Or how to bring that about, or how to add the other types that's not your primary. That's another way to do it. It's like, okay, you're an inspiring entrepreneur, but you also need to know how to be an organizational entrepreneur, and we're going to teach you that. Or whatever the course is, whatever it is that you're teaching, find those various categories that you can then do a quiz around. Those are the best kinds of quiz. And I'll tell you, quizzes, if done well, are the #1 best opt-in.
Really? Tell us why is that? Why do you think this is from your experience? This is good to know because I haven't done a quiz. I've done ebook stuff and all that, but I have yet to do a quiz. So why is that?
Quizzes number one, ebooks maybe mini ebooks number two, 5-day sequences, 5 tips over 5 days, 7 tips over 7 days. These are email sequences. That's probably number three. Webinars are the last.
Really? Okay.
It's real quick in terms of the best. Of course, you have to deliver well. Whichever one you pick, deliver it well.
Mm-hmm.
Why are quizzes so good? Because people love to take quizzes. They do a good job of being intriguing because you're going to take a quiz to find out something about yourself. People want to know about themselves,
mm-hmm.
And quizzes are generally about you, right? And if it's done well, developed well, it's a great piece of information. It's a great nugget of information. And the thing that makes them great for leading into courses is they're so open-ended. If you design them right, they're open-ended. You don't want to do a quiz where it says how good are you at something, and it's a point system, and you go from 0 points to 100 points, and when you're done, you know how many points you are. Like, what else do you need after that?
Right. Versus the typing. You need the typing approach to it. Okay, got it.
Exactly.
I want to pause on something here too, because it's important. It's important for me in terms of my model and others, is that you mentioned that sort of webinars were the last.
Yeah. But
that's mostly last for just good, like an opt-in where people go to a page and they want that instant download. Because I know for my model is you might have your little freebie landing page that leads to a 60-minute webinar.
Excellent
takes
point.
It deeper and then into the course. So it might be the 3 steps rather than saying, oh, webinars don't work. I wanted to clarify that.
Thanks for clarifying. That's absolutely right. It's not that webinars don't work. It's that I would not recommend them as the first opt-in step.
The first step. Yeah. The first step.
But ebooks that lead to webinars work better. And 7-day sequences that lead to webinars toward the end work better. Once people get to know you, they're willing to look at your webinar. Webinar right out of the blue, cold. People are generally nowadays, people are a little cautious. Like, they're going to try to sell me something. But after they've taken your 7-day series, they're like, okay, I like what this guy has to say. I'll go to his webinar. Right?
Okay,
so
got it.
As a second step, for sure.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. Because I know in the model, my model to follow your model is I created an ebook called the 5 things you need to know to create a successful online course. Just kept it super simple, and that converted well. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about conversion, but on that page, and many of you listening probably downloaded that. It was just a simple landing page. You could get it downloaded instantly, and that was converting at like 65%, Chris, and even a little higher.
Yeah, your rollout of this event here is ideal. Okay, so you started with an ebook that was a mini ebook. 5, just like what I was saying, 5 keys to this, 5 steps to that. It was very quantifiable, and then you added in this event.
The master class.
The master class, and then this event, which is a live event, is also very good for opt-ins.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
it can be good out of the gates, but it can be even better as a second step.
Yeah.
So people want to be brought in. You're giving them 6 different experts. You're showing them even more, taking them deeper. So the way you rolled this out is ideal. It's perfect.
Great. And so tell us a little bit, I think for the folks here listening, my assumption is, and I'm just going to go with, I love the quiz idea, but I'll just assume that there are more ebook creators here. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So why don't we wrap up with you a little bit of your best insights and takes on, you've touched on it, but creating that mini ebook. What does it mean? What's the right length? All the kind of details, and then people will, oh, great.
Yeah, we do lots of them, and they're all a little different. We have them sort of categorized in complexity and design. Some of them are highly designed. We do everything. I'll start on the low end. We do everything from like a simple ebook that has a very simple design, looks like a book, right? Just any book. A few images in it, anywhere from 12 to 30 pages. We try not to go above 30 pages.
Okay. Yeah.
The ideal is around 20, 24, 26.
Mm-hmm.
And how much you cram onto the pages can vary, but we try to keep it pretty open. 200 words, 250 words per page.
Yeah, great.
Then we go up in design, and visual. Some don't need it at all. Others really benefit from a visual approach. And we go everything, we do basically coffee table style books. In fact, I have the URL Coffee Tablet Books. It's sort of the new, coffee table books for the tablet.
For your iPad, right?
Yeah, for the mobile world. And that's kind of what we try to do with the more visual ones, is we make them look like coffee table books. So every page is kind of an experience. And then the step even beyond that is the coffee table type book with media inside of it, a multimedia book.
Yes.
Those can over deliver. So we're really careful to do that as freebies. We sometimes use the multimedia as the content of the course itself, as a content delivery mechanism. So we tend to hold that back in terms of the freebies, because one of the things, again, to emphasize that you don't want to do in a freebie is over deliver.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. In fact, I will just share a little bit. I'll call myself out. I get really excited about my ebook, Chris, the five things you need to know. And I felt like I put a lot of content in it. And in some ways, I'm wondering, just to myself as I'm hearing you live, is did I over deliver? Did I put too much in? Is it more like, wow, this is enough? I got enough from Chris here to just, do my own thing.
Right.
And I think I tried to find that right balance, but is there any tips can you hone right in on, and maybe we'll wrap with this up, but the tips of the actual when you mean like, just give it enough that, what is that? How do you think through that? What is too much? What is enough? What's just right?
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to answer because it's unique to every course and every piece of content and every person delivering. You can kind of look at it in terms of, hours spent. You don't want to give somebody more than what they can consume in one sitting. This is my definition. So one sitting means like, what's the longest movie you would sit through? About 2.5, 3 hours. I mean, some movies are a little more than that, but that's about maximum, right?
Yeah. That's a good tip. Yeah. You mean the actual reading of it, if it only takes them an hour to get through the whole thing, or an hour and a half, 2 hours?
Yes, exactly.
Great. That's good. So you might have to actually read it yourself and time yourself.
Yeah. Okay. And time yourself and say, how long does it take a normal person to consume this?
Great.
We want to make sure that they can consume it in one sitting. I would say sitting. Meaning,
I see. Great.
Yeah,
Great.
One sit.
Yeah, good. Anything else then about, I know it's so varies content, so I like that about how that kind of one sitting thing. Is there anything about the actual, like the one thing, the three things, the five things? Is five too much? Is it fine? What's the...
When we do in an ebook, it's very flexible. You're just basically doing pages and amount of content and how much they can consume in that ebook, how long it takes them to consume that ebook. In a multi-day series, we do lots of multi-day series. And by the way, they're really fun and easy to do. They're easier than an ebook to do. You can sometimes say, I'm going to do an ebook. It's just a mini ebook, 24, 26 pages, but it's so much work to get started. Well, think about breaking it up into, if it's 5 things like yours, maybe you can do 5 emails. 5 tips over 5 days. So you've got a 5-day sequence. Now, one of the advantages to that is you're training your audience to open your emails.
Yes.
So you've got 5 separate emails that they're going to open because they wanted your 5-day process. So it's got that extra benefit of having them be used to receiving emails from you and them opening that.
That's a great point. That is a really great point. In a way, what you're saying is you could just take the idea or concepts of what you wanted to put in an ebook, chunk them out, and have them really interesting, engaging emails. And so the landing page for it would be sort of the 5, get the 5 core strategies or blah, 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 right? And you'll get those strategy 1, strategy 2 over 5 days.
Yeah.
Right?
And we usually put that on there. We say 5 tips over 5 days, or 5 secrets over 5 days.
Great.
That's great. A 7-day journey, or a 7-day mini course. We'll call it a mini course sometimes if it's structured like a course, that's another thing, by the way, for this is being a course creator focus. One of the things you can do as a freebie is a mini course version of your course, right?
Yeah, right.
So you do that 5-day mini course, and you don't give away too much, but you give away enough that people go, God, I want to know more about that.
Yeah. And I want to say something too, Chris. You bring up all this great, and I just want to ground it. A part of, for me being a heart-centered entrepreneur, and many of you also listening out there, what I just want to ground in what Chris is saying is that you've got great content to share. You've got something to bring out and bring forward. It's still your authenticity of bringing it forward and the way that you're delivering value at a level where somebody can take it and receive it. For me, I start to think less of the game of it, like, this is a game and I'll get them a click, and more of, they can only take a little bit of me right now. Like they don't want like me getting on and saying, join my 4-month course So think of it like the kind of breadcrumbs or cookie crumbs through the forest to lead somebody to, where they want to be. Because I know sometimes this can all feel like crass marketing techniques and tools.
Yes, and thanks for saying that, because it's so important never to lose sight of where your passion is, and that's your big idea that I mentioned earlier. You always want to lead with your big idea, because that's where your passion is, and that's where your sincerity will be.
Yeah.
It took me in a course I did recently, actually. I had a friend, a strategist, consult me on it, because I'm too close to it. I'm a course creator, but for my own courses, sometimes you get too close to it. You need an outside
right?
Yeah. So I had a friend look at it, and I said, here's an email I put together. It's a little bit too much, it's a little too aggressive. And I said, but take a look at it. And he said, this is what you need to be saying. This is clearly your passion. This is what, and it was an email I put together kind of on a whim to say it, sort of because I felt it, right? I wanted to say it. And it was about, it was my big idea in the whole course. He got me to see that I had missed my big idea.
That's great. That's great, Chris. Well said. Thank you so much. And when we talk to both Christina and Lion too, we're going to be talking more about that sort of your authentic voice and your passion and your big idea shines through in the copy, what you write on your pages and in your emails. So thank you for that. So thank you, Chris. Thanks for your wisdom. Really appreciate it. And wanted to let everybody know too that Chris Van Buren and Jeff are part of the expert faculty of Launch Academy. So you just get that Chris has so much deep knowledge in this arena, a lot to share. It's kind of hard to, narrow this all down into a 15-minute conversation, Chris, but just really, really helpful. And so again, if you're interested in creating your online course, launching it in a good way, really what I call an A-level experience, you want to check out launchacademycourse.com. We start Tuesday, and Chris will be talking about these freebies, free content, what we call lead magnets, and he'll be teaching that in the course. So he'll go in much more depth. We've got a full 90-minute session with Chris that's going to be live, and he's going to be answering your questions there as well. And I'll be poking him with questions too. So he's an integral part of Launch Academy this year because of that importance of that first step. And for a lot of people, you may already have stuff and ideas that you bring a question to Chris. He said, yes, that's it. You already got it. So I'm looking forward to having you in Launch Academy, Chris.
Thank you.
Sweet. All right. And so now, how are we doing? How's the chat doing, Jeff? Any crazy, any questions?
I see crazy. No, we don't have any crazy today, but just a reminder, if questions are coming up for you, type them into the Q&A. There were two questions. One, I don't know if you want to do this now, or do you want to just wait till the end, or?
Well, yeah, we have one question. Yeah, so go ahead and use the Q&A. We have one question that I think I can speak to and you can speak to. Jeff, let's just do it now. Yeah, so right. Tora asked, how do you find affiliate partners when you don't have a network? So go ahead, Jeff. What, you want to speak to that?
Well, I did have a network, so I'm not sure. I had a bit of a network, but the thing with affiliate partners is, if you think you don't have a network, you probably do. Everyone has people they know, they have friends, they have colleagues, they have students that they've worked with in the past. Many of my partners were actually people who had been students of mine. Shannon, again here on the call today, she was one of them. And just people that you've done some business with or helped out. Catherine and I, we really didn't know each other very well, did we? When you agreed to be a partner of mine, I had done an interview with Catherine. She interviewed me, and then I asked her if she would be willing to support my launch, and she did, and it worked out to be a win-win. The thing also is to go, if you don't know people who may be your ideal partner, is they may know people. So go through people, ask, who do you know who has an audience like this? It's really just a matter of finding those key people out there. And maybe you need to reach out cold. I'm doing that from time to time now, just reaching out or reaching out to someone through an introduction from somebody else.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. And in Launch Academy, we do help you with even kind of a scripting in an email that you can use for somebody you know and somebody you don't know. So we provide some email copy for you and even a script to have a phone conversation. And a lot of it is what Jeff is saying is your willingness to just reach deeper into your network, kind of the second degree of separation, like who do I know that knows somebody? Yeah. And then also be willing to kind of put your ideal list together of maybe a teacher, maybe not the sort of like the Deepak Chopra of the world, but just somebody that's in your field that you respect. And you start kind of hitting some of those people or putting them down on your partner target list, if you will, and then be willing to take a risk to find their email, go to their website and say, hey, I'm teaching this too. Could we have a conversation about partnering? The one thing I will say is that partnering, it should be, and the intention is it's a mutual relationship. So it's mutuality. Yeah. So you're going in, as you start looking for partners, it's about how can I help you? You might even be thinking that first. And then how might you be able to support me? And it's both. You're not looking for partners to say, I need these partners to help me launch. It's more like, how can we build a relationship over time?
It really is about that. You know, my early mentor, Janet and Chris Atwood, that was their thing that they taught us. You know, what is the critical need of the other person? And if you can fulfill that need, then the reciprocation will happen. And it may be that they just would benefit from your content. Their list might love your content, and it could be as simple as you offering to do an interview or a guest blog or a gift or something for their list, and then they look good because they're offering something great to their list from you.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Jeff. So that's good. We have another question, but we'll come back to that. We've got lots of time, folks, to answer the question. So go ahead. If you have something, just put it into the Q&A. We can see it stacked up there. So thank you for that question, Tora. Great question. All right, Christina Pratt, are you ready to roll?
I am unmuted and ready to roll.
Awesome. I love it. This. Is kind of reminds me like I'm on Ellen show or on one of the late night shows, you know, like, hey, now we've got Christina. And you get to say, I love her. I really love her. So great to have you, Christina. I'm going to share a little bit about Christina, and then we'll dive in with her insights and on her program. So Christina is an author, teacher, shamanic healer, and founder of Lask Mask Center for Shamanic Healing that's based in Portland, Oregon, where she lives. She's also the creator of Energy Body Mastery, a new 7-week live online course to support participants in restoring balance and vitality in their lives. She also offers classes in contemporary life skills, shamanic healing for individuals, families, and communities. And her mission is to draw on the foundational wisdom of the ancient peoples so we can rise with innovation and creativity to meet the challenges of our time. Beautiful mission statement. Welcome, Christina.
Thanks, Chris.
Yay.
My own mission statement still makes me cry.
Yeah, oh, good. It's beautiful. Beautiful heart. It's so beautiful. Yeah, I just love what you're up to in the world. You know, Christina was a graduate of Launch Academy just this last year, and is really an amazing, amazing teacher, but hadn't really done anything online, you know, most in person and podcasting too. I know you do that. So why don't you just tell us, Christina, then just give us a summary of this first course that you created, this first 7-week online course.
Well, I can say right out of the gates, I would not have a first online course had I not done Launch Academy.
Oh, thank you.
There's just no way. My work is not on the computer. I am not technically savvy, and yet even before Launch Academy, I was still paying monthly rent on about 7 different technical platforms. My business is me. I'm doing everything. I'm not an IT person. I mean, so the idea of upscaling my knowledge around the technical piece of how to do this well, it was never going to happen as much as I needed it to happen. So for me, there wouldn't be a successful online course right now without Launch Academy. Because it just said, okay, you're going to spend this period of time, you're going to learn these things. So just move everything else out of the way, the best of your ability. Where you can't, it's recorded, you know, and just do it. Because I wouldn't have been able to spend the time, because honestly, I am 100% committed in the work I'm already doing. So even the online course is happening on top of me full time.
Yes, right.
You know, and beautiful. I would love to offer personal in-person sessions, but I don't have any time to, you know, so I had to think, you know, what bonuses do I offer? So anyway, that's just speaking to the nature of where I was in my life and in my practice. I had this global audience from podcasting once a week for 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so this huge global audience, no way to get to them. No way to offer them what they're asking for, because they are not going to fly to the United States once a year for a class. It isn't going to happen. And plus we need to look at the carbon footprint in that anyway.
That's right. Great point. Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
You know, so it's, if I'm going to live by my own teachings, I have to start to look at how can technology be used to help us to be more ecological in our entire existence.
Well said. Yeah, beautiful. And thank you for the props too, Christina. I consider you an A+ student in Launch Academy because you just did it and you followed it and had an amazing success. So tell us a little bit about Energy Body Mastery, and then I want to kind of unpack some of your insights as a new course creator.
And I'm still learning so much just doing it the first time. But basically, Energy Body Mastery, just to put this in context, what I was seeing in my own students who were dedicated 10-year students and other people's students, and kvetching about with my colleagues, is that there was a level of deep embodiment of personal transformation work and growth work that was not happening, that we could see in our Indigenous counterparts. And people are spending a lot of money flying all over the world to be with those Indigenous counterparts. What was different? And so Energy Body Mastery is an opportunity to speak in contemporary language to contemporary people about our lives. How do we actually get into our bodies and do energy body mastery? You have an energy body. It needs hygiene, just like your physical body. Remember when you were all 12 and you didn't know about hygiene yet and how much the classroom stank? I mean, energetically speaking, grown-ups all over the world are that stinky energetically. That's the reality of it. And so that's what Energy Body Hygiene is for, is it's this online course to teach people, yeah, you have an energy body. I know no one told you that in kindergarten, but you do. And so these are the ways to get at it. And the multimedia opportunity by putting on an online course makes me able to teach in a very deep way in a very short period of time. I filmed videos.
Yes.
So people have practice videos. They said, do this. This is your bonus. They were offered as bonuses, but little did people know they were going to have to do it anyway, whether they wanted the bonus or not, because this was the course, right? So they have practices. They have course material that is written, that is on my course website. And then they have the live session where I try to put it all together for them. And they have the asynchronous questions on Facebook. So they have a lot of multi-level engagement in it. But the bottom line is they have to practice.
Yeah, that's great. It's you bring up, if people were on my masterclass, you not only have the teaching concepts, you have the videos, you have your own live session, but you're asking them to do practices and also to share about those practices in the forum, like how that went for them.
And they really do feel like they have a community, even though they don't know each other, because they are communicating very deep experiences very openly and honestly to each other, and wrestling with how do you do that? I
totally agree. That's so great that you talk about that, because a lot of teachers, as they go into the online world, kind of forget the transformative learning model, which I teach in the master class, which is concepts plus practices plus the learning community. When you have all of that, you have a much better course experience, right? People are more likely to transform themselves, and you built all of those pieces into your course.
And I'm not saying things will never go evergreen, but I am really looking for a platform to engage people live.
Yes. Yeah.
And so this course will ultimately be taught by my students who are learning to teach it now by taking it with me. And it's going to, my goal is not so much the evergreening courses and being able to sit back and let them make money for me. My goal is to have everybody know how to do this. Is to spread the teachings. And so I'm thinking about, how do I do that now that I can do the teaching? Now, how do I get it to spread? How do I get people to have local in-person accountability groups? And how do they bring people in? And how do we keep spreading the actual content?
That's great, Christina, because everybody, the online learning world has all of its own nuance, however you want to build it. There's a lot of opportunity to keep going deeper live in a virtual setting. But also, if your choice is to have certain things more for that evergreen just simply means the program is available all the time, that you can have a blended learning model of that, where there's some live stuff with some products. And I know, just to give folks a sense of where you could go with a curriculum roadmap, I know, Christina, when you talk about having your senior students start teaching this, you might want to create, and we talked about this, is a next program that works with the senior students to help them learn how to teach this and even deliver potentially the online course, correct? Like a kind of like a mini certification program or a longer, deeper dive with your senior students.
Well, and to put this in context, that was always trying to happen when I traveled somewhere to teach.
Yeah.
There was always somebody, 2 or 3 people there that wanted to learn. There was no viable way to train them to do it.
And now you have it as a next step beyond Energy Body Mastery as a program for helping people, your students, become trainers, if you will, or certified trainers or teachers of your work.
And
Great.
so in everything that I do, I'm really looking at what is best delivered at its own pace on a website people can just work with, what is best delivered live, what is best delivered in person. Like, and really looking at everything that I offer in a way of understanding and really pushing the potential in the technology.
Yeah, great.
If we come to it in a particular way, perhaps it can do things for us we weren't expecting it to be able to do. And that's what people are really surprised by.
Great.
What we can create energetically via the technology that people used to not think they could do.
Yeah,
and this live component helps.
The video and live connection, Zoom meetings and all that. Yeah, well, Christina, tell us a little bit about the technology that you did decide coming out of Launch Academy to put in place. There is a question actually about it, but what are your tech programs that you did decide to use? Okay,
so I'm using Zoom to deliver things live, but my the back end piece is still a bit of a nightmare for me. It worked well. It's getting my original business converted all the way over to it, but I'm using Ontraport.
Ontraport, yeah, great. And then what's your front end? The front end technology.
My front end, I'm using Kajabi. Great. And it is partly because I am really seeing it as a place to house this curriculum that will be available. I mean, assuming Kajabi is still around and we still have electricity when I'm dead. I mean, I'm really trying to, gather these teachings in one place where people can interact with them.
Yeah, great. Well, that's great, Christina, because I know we had a question from Elizabeth about that, and that's certainly a recommendation for course creators of like Ontraport and Kajabi or Ontraport and Access Ally. Infusionsoft is another option. What's great to hear, Christina, is basically you have everything you need in 2 programs, right? So ultimately, when you get all of your old legacy systems transferred over to Ontraport, it'll be Ontraport and Kajabi.
Exactly.
And that's it. And that to as many courses as you want, because Kajabi can house more and more courses, just as Access Ally can and others.
And so there may be, there's the Zoom piece, there may be a Vimeo piece for, simple things, but in terms of the interaction with the people, it's just those 2 systems.
Okay, great. And then, so what, to kind of wrap up with you is I'd love to just kind of hear you as a first-time course creator, what are some of the tips or insights, kind of positive insights that can help somebody as they look to, create their course, join Launch Academy, create their course? What did you learn that you could impart that wisdom to others?
Well, on a certain level, because I'm still in the middle of teaching my course, I'm still trying to figure that out, because just to put this in context for people, in my own classroom, I only have room for about 12 to 16 people. Right. In some of these places I would travel to teach. So now I've got to travel to go teach there. Everybody else has got to travel to get there. Maybe it would be a class of 24 to 40 people, maybe, rarely.
In person, you mean?
In person,
yeah.
My online course is 230 people.
Woo!
So, I mean, to go from 12 people to 230 people to get that message out in a way that can now keep rolling. We can just offer the course again. And that is unbelievable for someone as small a business as I have to be able to make a leap like that in getting the message out.
Yeah. Yeah. And think about that, all those people that have a good experience are sharing it with their friends and their network. Some of them will be that next level senior student too, that will come from that group. And so super excited. So what's the
first thing is be prepared to succeed.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. That's
people go, well, what were you thinking, Christina? Like, well, I don't know. Why wasn't this though? I mean, not even, that's
be prepared for the high ends. You might get 200 people, and that's awesome, and be ready. Okay, cool. What next insight?
So the other thing that I'm looking at is, I took your advice to do not a big affiliate push the first time, to really just pay attention to all the other moving parts of doing it. And so I chose a few affiliates who had a huge network, Well, first, I chose only people I knew would be sympathetic.
Right.
And
You
in
went
that-
with your warm leads, right? People
Absolutely.
you felt,
Hot.
okay, great.
Hot leads, right?
Hot leads, warm leads. Yeah.
And so the hot leads had kind of two groups of people in them. Those people that had really big networks. And a few people that were more like me as a teacher. So we were already had people that were doing all of our connected to our different work. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I found that was interesting, and I'm just still watching this, I'm not making a decision, but I found that the people that had a big web didn't really bring anybody into the course. They came to the free webinar event, but they didn't convert. And part of what I'm thinking about is also in looking at affiliates and reaching out to affiliates is what is helping me understand what kind of work am I doing in the field.
Right. And who would be most aligned with you, do you mean? Is that why being thoughtful about your partners in that way? Okay.
Yeah, because just because someone has a really big network, it may be also because they do very popular, very easy consume things. If you're not that kind of teacher.
Yeah.
Right. Yet at the same time, people are still trying to find their teacher. So I'm not saying give up on that. I'm just saying one of the things I'm wondering about is that kind of affiliates that are similar in where you are in the field, I guess.
Yeah. And I want to ground that just for people to hear this too, is that sometimes you find a partner that doesn't have a very big following, call it an email list of a couple thousand people and a Facebook following, that they can actually outperform in terms of people signing up for your free preview event, your webinar, or even into your course, than somebody has a 50,000 person list. Even though that looks great and attractive, whatever that audience and how well that person communicates with that audience may not be the best partner. So it's really just finding aligned partners, starting wherever you start, right, Christina? And then building from there based on your knowledge of how did it go, right?
And so one thing that was certainly what proved out this one time. So I'm just, it's one experience, but that was my experience this time.
Yeah.
The second thing I'm going to look at is the possibility of referrals of these people that are really excited about the course, because I do want them to build people in their own local area through their own. So I'm thinking of doing a referral program with an affiliate program next year. And I don't know, it may be a disaster, but it is aligned with the thinking.
Yeah. It's good for, really smart for you to think creatively. And also for you, I know in Launch Academy, we teach the core piece, which is you have a webinar that's free that leads into the course. This is what we were talking with Chris. So you might also, for you, to hit some of these other partners, have some mini ebook or something that you do that is a free, easy way to get people into that first step, right?
Yeah, I took a bunch of notes when Chris was talking.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and I just want to anchor for everybody that you absolutely can succeed and do very well with partners supporting you on your webinar. But like Chris said, you could probably build your list and get a little wider list by having a free thing that then introduces the webinar that then goes into your course. But it's fine to just start with one. Look, she had, Christina, you had 230 people in your program from a really awesome webinar into the course. And that was it. So you can succeed with that and then begin to add to it if you need to.
Yeah. And so the other thing I just wanted to say is that Ontraport is already set up to do referrals.
Yes.
As well as affiliates. So that they're different technical structures, but they're already prepared to do it. You just need to set up your parameters. So it makes it manageable versus having somebody have to do the math.
Yeah.
And do it wrong and have to do it over again. And I guess the final thing I would really say for myself, the irony of this is it's part of my own teachings, is that I had to ask for a lot of help. I asked for help a lot, different kinds of help. I ended up paying for people to help me do things that I should in theory be able to do myself. But honestly, I ran out of time. And I didn't, and I just decided it was more important to launch when I said I was going to launch and pay for some extra help. And I'm really glad I did, because in a certain sense, for a person just beginning doing this, you're learning best practices by hiring people that are good at the different parts.
Yeah. Thank
you.
There
are certain things I will be able to do next time now that I've seen it done once. And
it's great.
And so you have to ask for help. I mean, not only are we asking our affiliates for help, but especially if you're not in the technical fields and what the thing you're offering, your big idea's got nothing to do with any of this.
Yeah.
You really have to ask for help, and it's fine because you're allowing other people to do their thing.
Yeah.
And I think that, and so there's all this really good, I'm doing my special thing, all adding up to your course. And it makes it really exciting for people to see all the pieces are done well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really appreciate what you're saying, because it's one of the key mindsets that I speak to. And one of the key mindsets is getting support, willing in a mindset to get support, because it's so easy to just do it on our own, just kind of dive in, we can figure it out. And it's sometimes difficult, especially as a teacher, right, to be the student again for just a short period of time, to really get the support. And so I know you did that. You came into Launch Academy saying, maybe I could have done this on my own, but I need the support and I need the container to get this done. And you were awesome. And I would also like to just say to the audience listening is that Christina really was very thoughtful about what is my authentic voice as I go into all this, right? So Chris is helping me shape the content, helping me put it together. What are the pieces? How do I market it? But as we went back and forth talking a bit, remember, it was sort of like, I need to say it this way. It's like, yes, say it that way. You're sassy. You've got a sassy style. You have a direct style, very practical. And so you didn't sacrifice your authentic voice, Christina. And that's, I think, sparkled through your offering with all of the pieces that Launch Academy gave you. You still stayed true to your message, right? And your values.
Yeah. And that piece is, for those of you considering this, this is a piece that I believe that I got from you, Chris, is that in the same way I'll sort of like open up and connect with spirit because I do shamanic work. You kind of open up and connect with the great high spirit of marketing, and it just comes out of your mouth. It's superpower, but it's authentic, right? Yeah. And you're always calling that authenticity out in everybody. Yeah. And my specific challenge, I think, Chris, you can appreciate this. My specific sort of brand is no bullshit. So that gets really tricky when you start trying to effectively market, because you have to be very careful. You take a misstep marketing, which reads as bullshit to people, and I've lost my whole audience because that's why they're here with me in the first place. So yes. I really, really had to learn a lot about how I can engage in something I've basically avoided doing for 30 years.
Yeah. Oh, great. I'm just tickled. I am just so excited and tickled that you had such great success in your first launch. And, it just is really exciting to see you lit up, and that maybe more importantly, your audience, your global community has a way now to much more deeply interact with you, and you'll keep offering things, and you'll still do your in-person stuff. I know that you're going to have that blended learning model. So I'm just super happy for you, Christina. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today.
Thank you, Chris.
Yay, beautiful. So before we move on to Lion, if some people may have just sort of joined, I see more names on the attendee list that might have joined. So also wanted to remind you that you can learn more about Launch Academy, which Christina was talking about, at launchacademycourse.com. Just go there. You can read about the program. It starts on Tuesday, May 8th. If you can't make the call, don't worry. It's recorded. A lot of people aren't going to be able to make that first call, but would love to have you. Just sort of what some of the things Christina was sharing is really being able to authentically bring your message and your teaching into an online course that changes lives, and that it's lucrative for you. There's so many teachers I talk to that have so much that they want to bring, and a lot of times they're giving away so much of their content without really then asking for that valuable return of, Christina's 7-week courses, she priced at $297, and I'm sure it's worth every penny. And so that for her, then 230 people times $297 allows her to really reinvest in her business and look at things differently and how she's going to create stuff going forward. So that's a possibility for you as well there. So thank you. Go check out Launch Academy at launchacademycourse.com. And now we're going to turn our attention to Lion Goodman, who has come off mute. The only challenge I have, Lion, is that there is a squawk and a squeak to your audio. I've experienced it before when we've been on Zoom calls. So do you have a headset handy, Lion? I know it looks kind of ugly, but we're all on headsets, I think.
Yeah, and then Chris,
she's got her.
If you want to do this while he's getting set up, a couple of quick questions in the chat.
Oh yeah,
bring some of them by text, but
yeah, go ahead, Jeff. Take us off where you.
Selwyn is asking, and this would be a quick one. Christine, what platform do you use? Was it Zoom for delivering?
Yes, I do. And I had a lot of people, I had to go to Zoom webinar to do it too.
Right.
And so as we go into the deeper dive in the 3-month, I'll be able to go back down to the meeting where we can see.
Okay, so you basically on the same platform we're on right now, Zoom webinar, where you weren't able to see their faces, but they could have this interaction like this.
Yes.
Great.
And I did have a tech person manning the chats and the questions so that we could actually be responsive to people even though we couldn't see them, and they could still raise their hands, so we could do that too.
Yeah, and I want to make sure, because we still have Lion and Catherine, so we have the questions queued up from other people like Alita and Kimberly, so we'll certainly get to your questions, folks. So great, Lion. Let's hear you speak.
All right. Is this working?
Oh yeah, much better. Thank you,
Good.
Lion. Awesome.
Good.
Really appreciate it. So everyone, I'm happy to introduce you to Lion Goodman. So I'm going to read his bio as well, so you have a flavor of who he is. So Lion is a speaker, teacher, author, and business coach, as well as the CEO of Luminary Leadership Institute. He's the creator of the Clear Beliefs Process and also the Clear Beliefs Coach Training Program, which is a 12-week live online training program. Lion has more than 35 years experience in transformational coaching, and he is also the author or co-author with Anodea Judith of Creating on Purpose, the Spiritual Technology of Manifesting, and also the author of Clear Your Beliefs, Delete Your Limiting Beliefs, and Transform Your Life. And Lion and his partner, Krista, live in Northern California. So welcome, Lion.
Thank you, Chris. Great to be here.
Awesome to be here with you too. So I'm just going to start this off, is that Lion is also a course creator, also a graduate of Launch Academy, same cohort and class with Christina. But Lion has a different twist, and I'll let you roll on this, but you basically were doing some online courses and really weren't getting the results you wanted and felt like you also needed the support and guidance, right, to create something that would be more not only maybe engaging and better for your students, but more lucrative for you.
Yes, it reminds me of a quote from Mark Twain, which is approximately, it's not what you don't know that's the real problem, it's what you know that isn't so. So
that's good.
So over probably 15 years, I looked at what other people were doing. I copied a lot of it. I put a lot of different plans into place. I started creating courses, and I did okay, but my efforts were kind of random, and so were my results. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I'd have 4 people in a training, sometimes I'd have 20 people in the training, and it was never consistent, and it didn't build over time. I'd have ups and downs, and I tried different things. I saw what other people were doing with emails, and so I do some emails, and then I saw what other people were doing with ebooks, and I created an ebook, and my ebook has had over 10,000 downloads over the years, but it hasn't converted into thousands of clients, right? So I had to really look and see and recognize that what I thought I knew about marketing, I really didn't know, and that was my the push that I had to take your course and to say, okay, I've got to sit at the feet of a master and as you said, become a student instead of a teacher, and really look at what I was doing wrong and what I was doing right and sort through it, and then put together a program that worked. So that's what I did, and it worked brilliantly.
Great. Well, tell us about the program, and what maybe some of the things that you learned in Launch Academy that shifted things for your program. So give us the nuts and bolts now, what you created and what you're offering.
Great. Well, the first thing that I learned that I want to tell everyone that's on this program is that it takes a long time to do it right. That my tendency was to sort of do a quick push, like a 3-week push to get people into my program. And what I learned from you is that it takes 9 months to launch a program. It really does. And you can do it in a shorter period of time, but if you want to do it right, there are so many steps that take time that if you give yourself that amount of time, you're going to do a lot more, a lot better than with less time.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, when I took your course, I had a 3-month window to sort of push into, because I had already planned my course dates. And however, by doing what you said, doing as much as I could with what you said and what you taught, I was able to double my students and double my revenue.
That's so great, Lion.
Yeah. And then I just completed another launch of the same course, different date, and I doubled it again. So
yes.
yeah, and this is a professional course. It's for coaches, healers, people in practice, therapists who want to learn how to clear beliefs of their clients and also themselves. So it's both a self-development course, but it's really a professional course. And it's a pricey course. It's $2,300 retail, and most people come in at the early bird discount of $1,700. So it's not a simple decision. It's also a 12-week course with 18 classes, and so it's robust, and it's about 75 hours of commitment. So one of the problems is that when I started this teaching about 12 years ago, it was a quick 4-week, or then the 6-week, and then an 8-week course, and I kept raising the price as I increased what I was doing. It started out as one technique that I could teach people. And it was inexpensive, and I taught a lot of people. And then I started saying, well, I have a lot more to offer. So I began adding the other techniques that I use, and the techniques I've learned, and techniques I invented, so that now it's like a dozen major tools that people can use to really transform others. And so all of that evolution has brought me to this place where I now not only have a great course to offer with incredible value, and I get very high ratings for it, but also a way to actually get more students in, so I can deliver my value and do what I would love to do.
Yeah, I love that line. And so congrats. I hadn't got the latest update on this current launch. And so you've even doubled it from when you launched Out of Launch Academy for this next relaunch. Oh,
that's right.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome, Lion. And so so tell us a little bit about, because you had been dabbling with it, putting it out, not dabbling, but you'd been putting your program out, and it wasn't, it was up and down, up and down. What did you personally, what are some of the highlights that you remember changing from from In Launch Academy that made some of the difference?
Well, the first was that my marketing plan was more organized, that I actually had a plan.
Wait, can we just pause there, that you actually had a plan?
Yeah.
Wait, I just got to say a pause, because I teach my masterclass. I talk about winging it and the trial and error method. You know what I mean? Like, we can all do that, but it can be, and I would say that Lion, like me a bit, is kind of the king of winging it. And I just want to say, I just bless you so much, Lion, because you came in and just saying, you know what? I know I have these patterns. I think I know. I just wing it. And you said, I'm not going to do that anymore, and I'm going to be a student again and learn. And you did it. You just kind of like let that all go. And I just want to honor you for that, and the success that you're getting now because of that shift, that more mindset shift, which was just awesome.
Well, I'm not sure that I really want the king of winging it moniker.
Sorry, Lion.
But it's probably true. It's just uncomfortable to
yeah, me too. I'm the king.
Like Mark Twain's quote, I think I'm pretty smart, and I am smart. I've proven how smart I am over and over again, and I've forgotten that I'm also dumb. Naive. Let's say naive.
Naive,
So coming into your course with a sense of like, all right, just teach me how to do it. Just tell me the steps, and then you have the course so well organized, not only step by step in development, but then also here's the plan. In this gigantic spreadsheet that allows people to go, okay, these are all the things I need to do, and there's hundreds of them. It's not a simple thing. And I was always treating marketing like it was simple, like, oh, I just need to get enough emails out, or I just need to get enough affiliates, or I just need to have the right course. And that is not true. There's lots of moving pieces. And what you do is you organize all those moving pieces and teach people how to do each one. And that's what worked for me. As smart as I have been and as naive as I have been, the methodical step-by-step plan and process was really what worked.
Yeah, beautiful, Lion. And then to share a little bit about then what your thinking was in terms of staying with the 12 weeks, because there was you and I had this conversation actually about, what, it might be helpful if you moved back to a 6 or 7 week powerful course, reshape that, and then have an advanced program after that. Why don't you share, folks, a little bit of your thinking that it is possible to have a longer course depending on your audience And why did you decide to stay with it rather than a little bit shorter and less expensive?
As I said, in the past, I have delivered shorter courses, and I got more people in them because they were cheaper and faster. And right now, my primary focus is working with professionals, people who are coaches, therapists, healers, who really want to go deep with people. And you just can't do that quickly. I can give you a technique that you could use, and I give away some of my techniques just because they're great for lots of people. But to really get what I'm teaching, it takes time, and it takes effort, and it takes practice. So, so like Christina, I have practice sessions for all of my students so that they really can learn and embody the techniques and the processes that I'm teaching.
Yeah, and then I was just going to say, you were right. Why don't you share a little bit more about your avatar work? Because it's what we do quite a bit of work around your avatar and Launch Academy. You've already mentioned a little bit, but tell us a little bit more of that deeper. Who is this coach or therapist, and at a deeper level that would come and take your program?
Right. In the past, I kind of mixed two audiences. I mixed people who were interested in self-development and using the techniques for themselves, and people who are professionals who wanted to use it professionally.
And you brought them you tried to create something for both of them, right?
I did. And it didn't work very well because somebody who was a professional was practicing with somebody who wasn't a professional, and it got off kilter. And it was too difficult to try to put the non-professionals and the professionals together. So I basically said, look, who I really love teaching are people who will then take this out into their practice. So that means coaches, therapists, healers, people who are transforming others. And that's really that I finally decided that's who I want to teach. Now, if others come in, as long as they understand that that's who I'm teaching, it's fine. But I'm not going to try to market to that audience. And that eliminates, in terms of affiliates, it eliminates all the people with big lists who have self-developers, people who are on the spiritual path, people who are interested in helping themselves. That's not my audience. It took me a long time to figure that out because it was frustrating me because I want to have as big an impact as I can. And by having other ripples going out to their audiences, that's really my focus. And you helped me see that. In terms of the short versus the long course, what I did decide was, as an option, instead of people taking the whole 12 weeks, 18 classes, $2,300, that they could take the first third of the course. And that would at least get their toes in the water. And so that's kind of the last offer I make in my marketing plan is, hey, if the big course is too much, you can take the short course. And then I get some people who come in for the short course, and some of those people extend in once they've experienced it.
That's great.
Yeah,
great model. There's just a quick question about your long, and we'll dive into some questions in a moment, but how long is your long course? What did you charge? You've been saying that. I have, she's just trying to outsort length. So again, it's 12 weeks, and is there two different price points for the 12 weeks, or is there just one price?
It's one price, but there's an early bird price. So people could save 25% by signing up early, which is like a month before the course. And then there's always laggards who say, can I still get the early bird? Come on in. So you make your own compromises, right? So there are 18 classes during those 12 weeks. So it's actually an 18 class program. It's every other week there's a second class. And the other thing that I did to increase my professionalism is I got the International Coach Federation to approve the class for CCEs, continuing education credits, and they approved 48 hours, which is huge. I've seen very few programs with that many hours. So anyone who's already a coach can get those CCEs and use them for their renewals of their certification. So that was a big deal too.
Ryan. Yeah, and even Ellen is just saying on the thing, it's just that she's planning to do that too, is to find a way to get CEUs or CCUs.
Quick question, much was he charging, Chris? I don't think we got that number, did we, or no?
Well, you mean for the 12 week it's 2,300, and then the early bird was 1,700, right,
okay,
Lion?
Perfect.
Right.
And then what was the price for the 4 week, the little intro experience?
$575. So basically a third of the 2,300. Okay. So there's no discount. It's just, hey, if you wanted to spend less, you can try it out.
Right. And I want to highlight something too that you said really important, Lion, is when you got really clear in this conversation about who do you really want to focus on now, You know what I mean? Yes, you've got all these possibilities. You actually I remember you having to really commit to saying, yes, I really want to right now focus on coaches and therapists and transformational, coaches. Or transformational individuals. So I really just appreciate that I think was also the shift for you, that there was no muddy water for you anymore. It was, this is the audience, and I'll worry about the general public later or have other options.
That's right. And that was a hard decision for me. You really pressed me on it because I thought, oh my God, I'm going to leave out all of that huge audience. But by focusing, I actually gotten more than 40 people in this class, and that's the biggest class ever. It's 43 at the moment, and a few more still pending.
That's huge. I mean, guys, listen to that. 40 people in his class at either 2,300 or at 1,700 or maybe some at that 4-week price. So that's just awesome, Lion, in terms of now that revenue helps you reinvest in other things you want to do and creates that much more of sustainability and security financially for you.
Absolutely. Awesome. I also want to mention that that through learning more about affiliates and reaching out to the right affiliates this time, I also doubled the number of people that opted into my webinar. I had 3,800 people opt into the free webinar, and so that was very helpful. And the affiliates were great. And I really targeted them to focus on my audience rather than their general audiences. Great. So that was also an important thing. And I understood and now understand that it takes time to develop affiliates, and that it's really a long-term strategy. I was kind of hey, would you send out for me? Just kind of these spontaneous, quick asks. And now I realize, no, you have to develop a relationship. You have to say, hey, what can I do for you? Can I send for you? And can I deliver some value to you? And then, especially for the bigger affiliates, then they might consider doing something for you after you've done something for them. So, and for affiliates that say, no, you're too small, or that's not for my audience, I will say, well, I'd like to interview you on my podcast or do an interview with you as a bonus for my students. Mm-hmm. And I've gotten nothing but yeses on that, which is pretty cool. So
when you give a chance for people to really interact with your audience, right? And be part of that. Yay. Well, beautiful, Lion. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, and I really appreciate it. And so again, congratulations on this second launch that's just such a huge success on top of the first one. So
thank you, Chris. I attribute much of it to you. So thank you for creating such a good course for people like me who really want to do things right and want to learn the right way to do it instead of the random way to do it.
Hey, thank you, Lion. Wonderful. So before we get to Catherine, I think, Jeff, let's help me organize. Let's get to some questions for any of the panel that can answer. And let's do some of those now, and rather than they get slammed all the way to the end, and then we'll come back to you, Catherine. So let's just go all the way to the top on the Q&A box. Is tips. So Elizabeth says tips to reduce over delivery. So why don't we give that to you, Chris? I think that was meant for you, of this over delivering content. Any quick tips you can give of not over delivering?
Yeah, you want to think, what I do is I first think about, is this consumable in one sitting? So that's kind of length oriented. And then, how overwhelmed do you think the people are, consuming what you're doing? If you have a lot of new concepts in your ebook or your multi-day drip, you might tone it, you might take it back a little bit. Mostly, though, I think you can do a pretty good job of keeping an eye on that by just looking at the length and how long it takes to go through whatever it is you're giving. I
think that's really a great key tip. And I think the other one is just check in with either self or somebody else, right? A friend or colleague. How overwhelming does this feel as a kind of a quick read, So
it should do. The main thing you want to do is you want to deliver the promise you made in the title. So if you say, the secret to then you need to deliver that secret. But so you have to give that value, but then you don't have to give much more. You want to leave them wanting more.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Chris. Beautiful. And then Alita, we have a question from you, Alita. Thank you. It's Christina. How do you translate an experiential seminar type process into an online practice? Great question. And it is for those that are doing energy work or, some movement, Qigong, yoga. How do you translate more experiential stuff?
Well, one thing, I sorted it out into what is really a support of a home practice. And I pulled that out entirely of what I was delivering online. I made it a separate, either a document, an audio, or a video, whatever seemed
for
best.
what you're doing at home. You mean this is your thing? Okay.
Yeah. So whatever would best support the practice, whether it was audio, video, or written, I pulled that out and created that, and that's in their materials on their course website.
Yeah, great.
So that was the first thing, is really thinking about what is it they need to keep redoing and how to best support that, and to not offer that in the live piece, but to assume that they are practicing. And that has freaked people out the first week. Like, I'm not practicing. And I said,
okay.
And?
Notice.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. And I shared this thing with people. It's like, okay, isn't it interesting? You're a person who's not practicing. To get out of judgment and be curious about it. Why are you not practicing? Man, second week, everybody was practicing.
Yeah. Kind of took it off. Right. Exactly. Kind of took it off. Just notice it and then engage. That's great. And, I just want to highlight again what you're saying, Christina. I think it's really important, is that you were thoughtful about how do I put these practices together as part of the material. And should it be a guided audio visualization or guided meditation, or maybe a video because I'm doing something? So you get to think through, how do you want to show that practice or deliver that practice to the students?
And then they've taught me where I misjudged, because there are things that I am offering in the live sort of classroom space that they're saying, oh, no, that little 10-minute piece, no, we need that as an audio all by itself.
Yeah. And you could just pull that out of a video.
Yeah. And so actually one of the students is pulling them out. She's going, these are the parts I want here. I made it an MP3, put it up on and so they're actually helping shift the pieces around. And so it is interesting seeing, what do they need in both places? What do we need to be doing together, but they also need reinforcement? How do they need to prepare? So I hope that's Elida's question.
Yeah. No, I think I hope everybody's taking it away, is you deliver the practice through the materials, and then you might have some conversation in your live session about it, but you try not to do it in the live session, like have them, they practice at home, which is really.
And there are lots of questions like, am I doing this right, that happen on Facebook?
Yes. Oh, on Facebook. Oh, great. Yeah. Okay.
And
good.
really deep threads are happening on Facebook because they are doing the practices right, and all this crazy stuff is happening. And so how do I understand what's happening? How do I think?
Great. Thank you, Christina. It was very helpful. Yeah. So Kimberly Joe asked, what do you feel about Teachable as a platform? Are any of you using Teachable or have used Teachable on here? No. So I'll speak to that. I've used it a little bit. I've had clients use it. I don't personally use it, but it is one that I recommend, primarily because I hear other people have a good experience with it. So, Access Ally is one that I recommend. Teachable, Kajabi. Some people will like Memberium is another one. For people that are getting started for a price point, Access Ally and Teachable are great price points where they're well under $100 a month. In Launch Academy, we actually have one of our bonuses is a tech package for you, where we've negotiated a great rate with Ontraport and with Access Ally to save you a lot of money. So like Ontraport and Access Ally, or Ontraport and Kajabi are great combinations, and easily Teachable could be your combination with Ontraport or Infusionsoft. So I recommend it, Kimberly. Let's go to Alida. What kind of things did you ask for help?
That question was for Christina, where she was mentioning how she outsourced some of her tech and so on.
Oh, yeah. So help, other help sources. Yeah.
I asked for help with everything, ultimately. So Ontraport had to send me off to specialists because my process was actually fairly complicated, relatively speaking, to the basic person coming in, because I had 30 years coming in. And so I have Ontraport specialists, and for the graphic piece, the email set up the landing pages piece, but also for the registration database piece. So I'm just paying for help there, and I paid for a little bit of help with Kajabi just to get me over my freak out hump. I'm kind of okay now. But I just didn't have time to keep making mistakes at that point. And And I know every company that does tech thinks that their online tech support in written documents and things is superb.
Mm-hmm.
Their online university is all you need, and they're all wrong. If you are not a tech-based person in your everyday life, you need to have it set up so that someone can have an exact, I'm in the system doing this right now. This is my single question.
Right.
And I want a single answer that is searchable. No one has that. Everybody's got a frickin' 15-minute video you got to watch.
Well, Christy, you bring up a good point, though. If you're like working with Ontraport, there is a whole customer service support at Ontraport.
Absolutely.
There's, customer service at Infusionsoft. So you can, beyond just having your own, assistant or, production coordinator person, you can always get support from those platforms.
Yeah. My assistant and I are still figuring out what part we even want to do.
Right.
And what else we want to just let these people that are good at doing it. And they're educating us along the way as well.
Great.
And
Great.
that's really helpful.
Yeah. Thank you, Christina. So from Ellen, another question from Ellen is, when is the next Launch Academy after this upcoming round? Does Chris have those dates yet? Well, Launch Academy is just a once-a-year program. It's a big endeavor. The course is a 4-month-long program. So you get everything you need in the program to launch your course, to create and launch your course. And, we take you through that process in a good way over 4 months. So for me, right now, when I launch it, it's a once-a-year launch. So Ellen, if there's any way that you can make it work for you for this year, I highly encourage you because you'll just get ahead of the curve. It's something Lion said too, and I want to echo, is coming through Launch Academy and out of Launch Academy, there's no expectation that you're going to launch your course right at the end of Launch Academy. If somebody's really keeping up, it maybe is a month or two after when you're prepared. But for many of the people in Launch Academy, they're just digesting, planning things, and then they may launch their course, 4 or 5 months after Launch Academy because there's still work to do and, finding partners and all that. So my invitation is, if you can make it work this year, you're way ahead of the curve than waiting to next year, where then you got to wait all the way almost like a year and a half now.
And everything's recorded too, right?
Yeah, and thank you, Jeff. And so here's the thing is, when you sign up for Launch Academy and you come in, you have lifetime access to the course. Everything is recorded. All the materials are there. So you can just go back in and find stuff. And I think you were going to say that, Christina. You probably have gone back in and grabbed things you needed. And
I was going to say, I jumped in. I did not have time and I was not ready.
Yeah.
And I jumped in and did it anyway.
Yes.
And I strongly suggest that because there's a lot of ramping up to do, and don't wait.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the difference I want to just point out here too, because I've seen course creators that just, kind of throw something up, and they may get 4 or 5 or 10 people in their course. And so I just want to impress upon this, that what Lion has been saying and Christina is, I'm teaching a very specific process in Launch Academy that I try to do my best to simplify the process, but to create an A-level course, a course that you're proud of, that your students rave about, and that will make you money. Christina, 230 people in her course and making close to $70,000, that's kind of the difference. And that's what they're pointing to, is that you'll learn it, you'll have access to it. I may not be ready, but if I just dive in, I'm now way ahead of the game. And I can really create that experience that I'm proud about, and not having one that I just kind of, again, I just get a little bit of ideas and then throw something up and then I'm discouraged, right? So as a course creator. So let's go to next question here from Angela. What does a practice session for Lion's course look like? So Lion, what's a example of one practice piece?
Well, every week my students get a specific practice to do, and I put them together in partners so that they offline, on their own time, connect by phone or Skype or Zoom, and they do the practice. In one case, one is the coach and the other is the client, and the other, they reverse roles. The advantage of this is that they get to experience each process. One is, for example, embodied mindfulness. Another is clearing beliefs from the core of the psyche. Another is voice dialogue, or working with inner parts. And so they get very complete scripts for each process. They take the other person through using the script. And when they're the client, they're bringing their own life experience and their own life issues to the process so that they get cleaned out while they're learning the process. So that's how I work it. And so right now I've got 22 pairs of students that are going to be practicing every week with each other.
Great. Thank you, Lion. Beautiful. Well, I'm going to pause. There are a few more questions, but I think we've touched on a few. I definitely want to make time and space for our final expert here. So, Catherine, you are up. And oh, by the way, if you still have questions, we will stay a little bit beyond the 2-hour mark. So we'll officially end at our 2-hour mark. And then if there are questions, feel free to stay on. And again, just to remind you, if what you're hearing really resonates with you today and you're getting great value and you really feel now is the time, I'm not ready, but I'm jumping in, then you can go to launchacademycourse.com, learn about Launch Academy, and also enroll now. We start this coming week. So Catherine, I'm going to read your bio just so they know who you are. And so Catherine is a speaker, teacher, business coach, and podcasting expert. She's the founder of Make Everything Fun, a platform for online education, training, resources, and podcasts with 4 pillars: make publishing fun, make nutrition fun, make wellness fun, and make entrepreneurship fun. She's written 7 books and has received numerous awards for them, which span nonfiction, self-help, and even children's books. So her expertise in wellness, publishing, and entrepreneurship has been featured throughout many events in different media, including ABC, CBS, NPR, Publishers Weekly, and hundreds of radio interviews and articles. And as I mentioned earlier, she's also serves as the CEO of the Ketchum Innovation Center in Sun Valley, Idaho, where she lives with her family there. And it is so great to have you here, Catherine. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here with this amazing panel and Chris and all these wonderful people that are watching. So I just want to say a couple other roles that I have. One is that I will be watching time because I know we're on the home stretch here. But I also want to say to those listening, and I'm just going to ask the question here, is anyone watching right now that goes, oh my gosh, I am so busy. I'm so overwhelmed. I don't have enough time to create a course. This all sounds really overwhelming. And there's so many pieces. So you don't necessarily have to go, yes, yes, yes. But my assumption is there's probably a lot of people going, yeah, that's me. So I just want to say I'm also a busy mom. If you saw me waving, there's a window on the other side of my computer. My 15-year-old son was heading out. So I have 3 jobs. I also run a nonprofit, and I have 2 kids, and I was able to launch 3 courses just last year. And I want to really speak to the benefits of being an online teacher. And one of the things I did, and I really think everybody else should do this if you haven't already, do your Strengths Finder assessment. It'll give you your top strengths. And so I got my top 5 and I got the whole 34. But interestingly, and I think there's probably a lot of us on this webinar that probably have learner as one of our top 5, meaning we love to learn. If you're on this webinar, if you spent almost 2 hours with us already, right. you have a big appetite for personal development. And I think that really speaks to the fact that you're probably a learner. Now, if you follow the work of Stephen Covey, he always says, he's passed on now, but he always taught so beautifully that the best way to learn something is to teach something. So there's such joy. I know I've experienced it myself. I could hear it with all the other panelists in teaching and doing it on an online way. Really, and Lion was talking about his reach, and Christina, and I know Jeff and Chris. They're all reaching so many more people because of the geographic independence that we have as online teachers. So I get to be in Sun Valley, Idaho, in the middle of the mountains, and I get to influence people and really help them. So it's about lifestyle. It's about, yes, earning money, but like having an impact and really changing people's lives. And it feels so great. So I wanted to just start with that, I'm so busy. We're all so busy. It's not something that's unique, but you can, with a framework. And Chris, you're such a smart guy, and you know how to pull together such great people to put together a framework that helps to avoid the overwhelm, so you can get to that pleasure island of like, I'm an online teacher and I'm changing the world for the better.
Yeah, thank you for that, Catherine. I really appreciate how you're speaking to about what does it mean to be a teacher that has online program and being an online teacher. What can that mean for your life and for your business? And maybe could you, thinking of yourself as a course creator, you have lots of hats that you wear. But give us a little color, more color on that. What is it like to be where you've created a course and you've got people from all over the world that are coming in, and what does that mean for your lifestyle and all that?
Well, I love the geographic freedom. And as far as being a course creator, I can tell a couple of sort of not so, actually, I have one sort of not so great story. And then I think it kind of talks to what we've been learning about today, is sort of what not to do. And then when I did it right, it was fabulous. Like, there is no better feeling when you're sitting at your email and you got like order. And then you read about these people and then you get to know them. And so one of my most successful courses is one that I did with Carol Klein. She's very well known as being a number one New York Times bestselling author. Chicken Soup for the Soul series. She did Pet Lover Soul and Happy for No Reason with Marcy Shimoff, and Love for No Reason. So she and I got together, and it was interesting. We actually repackaged some of a course that she did years ago and sold for a lot of money. And we kind of got it down to bite size, and we used a lot of the principles that we've been talking about today, which is not going it alone, really using partnerships, really creating the course in a transformative way. In fact, the course is all about how to write a nonfiction transformational book. And then what's so cool is that course was a huge success. It was so much fun. We'll launch it again. But then my students then went into Jeff's course. And it was so fun that I got to know Jeff better, and his course was a perfect add-on. So it's just something we haven't mentioned here today is we're building a community. And so, Christina might have something that might complement what I'm doing, maybe in my Make Wellness Fun. And, Jeff has something in my publishing world, and we all might have something that is complementary. Being able to work with each other and sort of create a super transformational course, right? Like, we're all doing our own transformational courses, but if we know the right people that we absolutely trust deliver amazing content, Jeff really got we taught people how to write excellent content in this Carol course. She's just a great writer. It was about gaining clarity, getting structure, your outline, all that. And then Jeff really got these people to launch their books into bestseller status. And I get to talk to all these students today, and can you write my foreword? Can you write an endorsement for me? It's just so fun.
Yes.
So that's the right way to do it. The wrong way to do it is to do it in a vacuum, to think that, and this was sort of this I developed a Make Nutrition Fun course with a really wonderful friend of mine, registered dietitian. It's great content, but we were so kind of tired and didn't have the structure to put all this in place that we've been talking about today, that it launched kind of softly, and that's putting it in a nice way. And so it's one of those things that we'll have to relaunch. Another big thing, and because I'm here as the podcasting expert, another big thing between that nutrition course and the publishing courses, because I have more than one publishing course, is I have a podcast that's dedicated just to authors and to the publishing industry.
Right.
I didn't have one for nutrition. And so that, to me, speaks to the huge, and we've talked already a couple times about podcasting on this session, but podcasting is a fun and amazing way to grow your network, to find partners, to find affiliates, to find people that are going to help you. And it also is a way that you can start to talk about the upcoming course. I mean, when I was getting ready to launch my course with Carol, every single podcast episode, in the intro or the outro, I mentioned it. I pulled something out of the interview that had some relevance. And then I put a link in the show notes page, and there you go. When we launched, that course filled right up. So I think podcasting is an incredibly powerful tool today. I think people love to read books for sure. People love to consume audio. To consume video. But
Yes.
what audio does is, for people like me that like to be out on the hiking trails and out and about and in the fresh air, I can listen to audio and podcasts when I'm out and about. And I actually always recommend that people do that. Get some exercise.
It is really true. It's that that podcasting has this incredible upswell right now, and partly because it's not video. I'm not I can take it. It's so much more portable, and I can be without it having the screen or looking at the screen or watching the video. And so what are your just couple of quick tips for somebody? And I would say this is not necessarily critical to a course launch, but it's part of building your community, building your list, and having fun with it, right? Just bringing your topic. What are a couple of tips for somebody that might be wanting to, that first step into podcasting? What would you invite them into?
Sure. And of course I have a gazillion,
Right.
but I'll pick 3. And actually I'm going to make this very specific to podcast guesting, because I don't think it's critical, like you said, to create a podcast as part of launching a course.
Right.
However, I might argue that it is quite critical to use podcasting guesting as a way to launch your course. So meaning to get to know other podcasters and get on their podcasts and leverage their audience by first offering value and then getting them into your world. So,
let's just highlight that for people, because there was a little back and forth there. So that's where if you can, through your network, find people that have podcasts, you introduce yourself, find a way to get on those podcasts, and then you can have your free offering or whatever it is that can draw people from them. So it's a little bit like that partner model, but more in the podcasting world, correct?
Exactly. And so here are the 3 tips if you're going to do that. So first, you need, once you have your avatar and stuff, you need to learn about the different podcasts out there. I think there's like 180,000 podcasts, and they're very niche-y.
Mm-hmm.
And so if your avatar is going to listen to, nutrition-based information for moms, you go right to those podcasts and you will be right in the company of your target audience. It's beautiful.
Okay.
So tip number 1 is to learn about the podcast. Don't just shotgun out to a bunch of I know you're a podcaster. Can I be on your show? No, first really learn about what the podcasts are about. Listen to the podcast and understand their audience. The second tip is to really figure out what you want to get from the podcast after you offer value. So 80 to 90% is value, value, value. But at the end, this is kind of what Chris is talking about. Have that thing ready, that quiz. I love that quiz idea, or the ebook, or some checklist or something. Have that ready. Know what you want to get out of that interview. Do you want them to go take the quiz? Do you want them to read the ebook? Do you want them to check out something else, some contest that you're offering? But have that ready to go and have a special link so that you're not just wasting your time on the podcast, you're actually bringing people into your tribe. So powerful.
Great.
And then the last of the 3 tips of the gazillion that I'm not going to talk about today, but the last one is to follow up. And I mean, follow up with the host, build a relationship with the host, thank the host. It was an honor to be, the host is actually doing a ton of work on the backside to edit that podcast, to do all the intro, outro, the music, to get it hosted, all that, but also be following up yourself with promoting that episode. And I have lots and lots of tricks and tips about how to use evergreen kind of social media to just kind of keep getting that out there. Hey, it was so much fun to be on John Lee Dumas's podcast, and we, drop some value bombs. That's his audience's language. Right. And then have a link to it. So you're following up. It's not just the time you spend, it's the time you spend after. So if I had to leave it to 3, that's what it'd be.
Those are great. 3 juicy tips. And so thank you. And for everybody, if you didn't know it, if you haven't gone to the Launch Academy page, Catherine is also part of expert faculty in Launch Academy. Thank you so much for being in Launch Academy and supporting. So she's going to do more in-depth teaching around podcasting and kind of community building in general, Catherine, right? Because you're really a community builder. So podcasting is one way, and other ways that you feel like your tribe, you're drawing in more of your tribe. So you don't want to miss that. Catherine's going to go a lot deeper with some of the tips that she shared with you today and new stuff in Launch Academy. So thank you for your wisdom and insight, Catherine. So appreciate it. And thank you. And I think that's it for our panel. And we are kind of right up at the hour. So I just want to say just right now, there are still some questions. We are coming to the end of our 2 hours, but we are now going to go and answer some of these questions. If you have more questions, we'll stay on a little bit longer. And also just a final reminder, Launch Academy, a program to help you create and launch your course at an A level, to help you have greater reach, more impact, and to also be lucrative for you. That's what Launch Academy is all about, and helping you create that ideal program that you're proud of, and then keep creating your courses from there. So you can go to launchacademycourse.com. You'll see that there's a lot of information there. There's also you can live chat us there if you have more questions after all this is over. And you can even book, there's a place to book a consult too if you want to, especially for our fast track option in Launch Academy. So I'm just going to do a quick share with you folks just quickly, and going to find, where are we? Where is my, just going to do a quick screen share if I can find where my desktop is here. I have to do that. Great. All right. So I'm going to share my desktop. All right. And then we're going to go to full screen here. All right. And so I just wanted to share with you just briefly before we wrap up that Launch Academy is set up to start Tuesday. It runs for 4 months. The program has 8 modules in it, or my 8 steps to take you through your creating a transformative and lucrative online course. We'll be using my model that some of you might have heard in my masterclass of the 4 essential elements, and really be unpacking that so that you really have a powerful course that your students rave about and that is lucrative for you. So you can go and you can check out what you'll learn. There's a little bit more in depth here of the modules. You see that I take you through, as Lion mentioned, a very specific step-by-step with a lot of the tools and resources you need. And then it also, the course page shows you all the things that are included as what you receive, the live sessions, the pre-recorded videos. A lot of what the expert panel have been talking about, of course, is woven in to Launch Academy, the course website, our launch toolkit of all the resources you need, our private Facebook page, which is a great place to interact with each other. One thing I want to say about Launch Academy around the community is that it's a live online course where you're going to be with other like-minded teachers, learning with each other, learning from each other, but maybe more importantly, as you move through and complete Launch Academy, you're going to create relationships and even possibly marketing partnerships with people in Launch Academy. And that's already happened with some of the people and many of the folks in Launch Academy that have graduated over the last couple years. A lot of great bonuses. There's a 2-day retreat toward the end of the program that's optional but super fun. And then we have a fast track option. So check that out. There's 2 levels. The core program gives you everything you need, and fast track can just accelerate with some more coaching, one-on-one coaching, and even some done for you components. And so I encourage you to check out the page here. You can go to the bottom of the page. You can click the register button at the top, go right to the bottom. It'll give you a summary of what's included, and you can enroll now in Launch Academy. We have an awesome no-risk guarantee. I really believe in what I teach in Launch Academy, that you will get a great result in your first launch and hopefully make many times more than what your tuition is in Launch Academy. And we were just talking about this earlier, about sort of the number of students and how to price a program. And, if you had a 7-week online course and you charge $297, 25 people in your course is $7,500, which would be 3 or 4 times what you'd invest in Launch Academy. So just know that's really my commitment, is to help you get everything you need, have everything in place for you to launch your course and have that start bringing the income back to you so that you can start reinvesting in other parts of your business and your online platform. So that's Launch Academy for you there. And so we're just going to exit out here of exit full screen and come back to, you're probably seeing all my screen here, and stop share. There you go. All right, folks. So what I'd love to do is just now go through a few more Q&A. Jeff, is there any ones that feel really hot?
Let me read one that Alan asked quite a while back in the chat. It didn't end up in the Q&A.
Okay.
Are the entrepreneurs in mind for Launch Academy reaching out to the general public, or are there targeted commercial audiences interested in specialized technical information? So in other words, do people sign up for Launch Academy as part of their job? How do you market to them?
Oh, so is Jeff?
Well, actually, sorry. He just says, do people sign up for online courses as part of their job, and how do you market to them? So,
not sure. How do you want to start answering that?
The way I'm reading that question is that for the course creators, is it just for people who are creating courses for personal transformation, or is it also courses that are targeting commercial audiences who maybe need to learn how to do something? Or
Yeah, okay, great point. Yeah, good point. So yeah, I think for Launch Academy will teach you the model really no matter who your audience is. We had a guy in Launch Academy this last year who was really wanting to bring purpose work more into the corporate space. So he was wanting to create an online course that he could offer into HR departments to say, oh yeah, bring that course. It'll be an online learning experience. And he learned everything he needed to be able to put that together for that audience. But I would say the majority of the teachers that come in are wanting to create a program for the general public. But it still could be a professional development program, as in what Lion's doing, which is he's helping coaches be better coaches. It's more of a professional development, but it has a lot of personal development components to it. So Launch Academy will teach you the model no matter who your audience is, and it may need a little bit of tweaking depending on the audience. And that's something that I can share with you and answer your questions in Launch Academy if your audience is more of kind of corporate or organizational audience.
Awesome. I can keep feeding you these questions.
Sure. Yeah.
Ellen, who's left the chat, but she wanted to know, how long was Christina's course?
Oh yeah, Christina, I think she must have fallen off or had to go. Yeah. She might have had a call. So it's 7 weeks. So her course was 7 weeks. Yeah. Perfect. And just a quick aside, there is a sweet spot for an introductory course, and it's usually 6 or 7 weeks. And typically the price point that works really well is $297 for a 6 or 7 week program where you as teacher are, having some live components through your course.
Right. I don't know if you can answer this one from Tora. It was also for Christina. I imagine you have a ritual or a ceremony as part of your teaching. How are you sharing this in your course? Do you know how she handled that?
Yeah, I do know that. I think one way to do ritual or ceremony is in the live calls, Tora, is that's the place to do it. Like you don't want to do a ritual with a community of people and it's just watch this video, do the ritual. So what she does and what other teachers have seen, Linda Fitch is another one in that similar space as Christina, is they will start the call off with some ritual. I think Michael Stone, I think I even saw him on here. Michael Stone also teaches embodied shamanism, and he will start the call with some ritual that he does. And he might, have an invocation, speak some words. I think he uses a rattle, that kind of thing. So absolutely build the ritual into the beginning or the ending of a call can be very powerful, a live call.
Perfect. And yes, Michael is here, and he's asked a couple times here about, do you use PowerPoint for your slide deck, or is there better software?
PowerPoint. I don't even use Keynote. I'm on a Mac. I'm a total Apple guy, and I just love PowerPoint.
But you could use Keynote. It would work just as well. And a tip for everyone is when you size your slides, you got to make them 16 by 9 so that they fill the screen on Zoom. If you have the regular default size, which is 4 by 3, there's going to be little bars on the side, little techie tip there. 16 by 9.
I'll just chime in with a little tip on that one.
Yeah, awesome.
Just people might want to look into Prezi. It's it's kind of a step beyond PowerPoint, and it's free. They have a free version. So.
Yeah, and I'm just typing that in. I think it's Presi, correct?
ZI. I think it's with a Z.
ZI, Prezi, and Prezi.com or something like that. Okay,
yeah. Great stuff.
Great, thank you.
Okay, let's go back up here. Do you recommend Zendesk for support, or is there support built into the platforms, Kimberly?
Yeah, great question, Kimberly. Another little tech piece. Again, I'm just going to narrow this down that really the only tech you need to have a successful course launch is some back-end technology, like we said, Ontraport, and some front-end like Access Ally. Other things are all bonus. So I wouldn't recommend Zendesk because that's literally for more people that have lots of customers that are needing, requests. So what Jeff and I use is we use live chat. So live chat, I know there's a way to use it where people are chatting, but it's also a way to create a ticket in live chat to follow things up. So it's much better to just kind of take questions as much as possible in live chat or people emailing you rather than using something like Zendesk. So it's just not needed at this point. Yeah.
Cool. Charles says, how would you advise someone who needs to build an audience from scratch to fill their course? What platforms, tools, and strategies are good at attracting people?
Awesome, Charles. Do you want to start, Jeff? You're excited.
I was going to say Chris Van Buren.
I know.
I have a couple of thoughts on that. Yeah. I talk about the 3 or 4 ways to drive traffic. So you're talking about driving traffic, and if you drive traffic to your free gift, people are opting in to get that free gift. So you're building your list. So, but the traffic has to come from somewhere first. And if you don't have an audience, what are your options? Well, I will go through it real fast. You can pay for it. You can pay to get an audience, meaning you can pay to get access to someone else's audience. That's advertising, PPC, AdWords, Facebook, when you pay Facebook to do it. And you can even pay to get a list, to access to somebody's list. There are people out there that do that for you. You can trade for it, which means the JV market. You do something for a JV partner, they do something for you. Now, a lot of people will say, well, how do I reciprocate to a JV partner when I don't even have a list, I don't have anything to reciprocate with? Great question. It is a challenge. And the first answer is you can possibly trade with service. Maybe you can do a podcast and have them on. Maybe you can, like somebody suggested, I think it might have been Catherine, give something that they can offer as a bonus to their audience. And you start where you are. You start with some smaller JV partners and you build up. And then the final one is you can work for it, which is all the social media where you blog, you get on the radio, all the things that you do where you create content and you put it out and you hope people see it and come back to you. There's a million things you can do there. Social media being what most people end up doing. It can be a lot of wheel spinning, but I've also talked to people who have had good results from it. So that's another one to look into. So
beautiful. And also, I just encourage you, Charles, and other people to go to Launch Moxie. Is it just launchmoxie.com? Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, launchmoxie.com.
Yeah, and just check out
everything.
Yeah, just check out what Chris is doing, because part of what he does is also help people that are, trying to build that, and it's got some tools to help you do that quickly. And I would just echo, I love that you gave us the whole model. I think the way that's the easiest and the lowest cost, but it does take some time and energy, is the partnering model, because you don't have to have a list to start, but have the good content. You've got that lead magnet or your free webinar. You get your partners, and then all of a sudden on your one event, you've built your list and you can reciprocate later. Like you can say, yes, if you'd help me now, then I absolutely want to support you later. And you've already done some list building and had other partners that helped you get to, your 1,000 person list or 2,000 or whatever it is. So thank you, Chris, for that.
Yeah, excellent.
Jeff, what's next?
Rudverson says, would like guiding for the mini ebook. And this is back to you again, Chris Van Buren. He's talking about writing content for a creative nonfiction type of mini ebook, strategies and tips to make the ebook interesting and easy to read.
Creative nonfiction. Well, that covers probably most of it.
Yeah.
It would be more difficult to answer if you wanted to do creative fiction. Creative nonfiction is what most of them are like. It's again, you want to try to chunk it into, the 5 tips, the 3 secrets, the 1 secret, however you can do that. But if you're talking about, how to get started with the writing, how do you do that? One tip that I use is I suggest that you have a friend in mind and write it in an email to your friend. Say, I'm thinking of doing an ebook and it's about this topic, and here's what I'm thinking of saying, and just write it out in an email. And you don't have to even send that email to your friend. Just write it thinking you're going to. And that sort of gets you over the hump of people get a little intimidated by having to fill this with perfect prose. It's
right.
Like, no, all you have to do is just get your thoughts out and onto the screen as if you're just telling a friend about it, and then take it from there.
That's a great tip, Chris. I love that. It takes the pressure off with that, and it creates more of an authentic voice too, right? It's more natural, which people want to hear, rather than trying to be such the perfect author or the expert in the field.
That's what most people, I think, run into as a block is the self-imposed expectation that it has to come out just perfectly.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll jump in. I see him here too, Jeff. So Alita asked also about, are the dates set for the August retreat? They are indeed. It's August 4th and 5th in the San Francisco Bay Area. Again, I just want to echo, it's going to be an amazing experience, but it's optional. It's not required for you to go through Launch Academy. And, you know, it's because I know people will be from all over the world. And if you can't make it, it's not like, oh, I can't make the retreat, so I don't want to take Launch Academy. It'll be fun, inspiring. There'll be some creative work and some masterminding. And it's really more to create inspiration and community. And I think that's very valuable, but it's not critical to your learning process in terms of Launch Academy. So hope you can make that, Alita, when you sign up for the course. Katie, how long are the live calls? I assume, well, let me speak to that for Launch Academy, and then I'll also share kind of what I know from my own 7-week courses or shorter courses. So the live calls in Launch Academy are 90 minutes long, and we have 2 a month. So 8 live calls, and it'll be a lot of group coaching, taking questions, me kind of doing laser coaching work with people around their content, around their titling, around their marketing plan. Whatever it is and wherever we are, you'll get a lot of support from me and learn from each other as you ask those questions and I respond to it. So, and if you want the fast track option, then you would get additional one-on-one coaching time from me, Jeff, and Irene Scott.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw the message. Lion had to step out, but he sent a nice message there in the chat.
Okay. Yeah. I wanted to thank all the panels. So I know we're in the Q&A mode. And so I wanted to thank Lion and Christina who have left. Thank him so much. And feel free to send us, if you want to send us a note or a message to them, you can just send it to the email that's on the course website and we'll pass it on to Christina or Lion. And before we finish with some of the last questions here as people are dropping off, I want to thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much, Catherine, Jeff, for being here and giving your wisdom and sharing your tips and insights and just being a big supporter of Launch Academy and the Launch Academy community. So thank you. Really, really thank you. And a quick reminder, then check out Chris at launchmoxie.com and you can check out Catherine. What's the best place for them to find you, Catherine?
She's just typed a message into the chat.
Yeah, oops, I'm running off and doing mom, and I typed in my URL wrong, which is how much of in a rush I am, but it's makeeverythingfun.com, and right there's a little podcast. Actually, sorry, it's not even that's how I'm already moving into Mom Mind.
Yes.
There's a media button there. And if you go to the podcasting section, if anyone's wondering, like, how do you create a lead magnet that you would offer during a podcast? I tried to show sort of like the top 20 podcasts that I've been on. If you click on any of those links, it takes you to the page where it says, here's the free gift I offered. So that'll give you a concrete example. And you can see that they're totally different based on the audiences of the podcast. So
Great. That's
something you guys can all check out. And then you should definitely be creating those yourself so you can build your tribe.
Awesome. Thank you, Catherine. And if you need to sign off now, because it sounds like you're in mom mode. Just we'll see you around the block. We'll see you in Launch Academy. And thank you so much again, Catherine. For being here.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. Awesome. And a couple questions more. Actually, good. You guys, if you have any more questions, now's the time to input them in the Q&A. We just have 2 questions, and then we'll be wrapping up for today. So Stephen asks, for those whose websites are built on WordPress, can you recommend plugins for an affiliate program and a hosting online course? So Jeff, you want to answer that one?
Hosting an online course, I'll take that for 200, please, Chris.
Yep.
And that's where I love Access Ally.
Me too.
It's a WordPress plugin, and there's also another plugin that you could get with it from the same company called Progress Ally. I've got them both. Access Ally has deep integration with systems like Entreport or Infusionsoft, so you can connect with your backend system. And what the Progress Ally plugin does is that it gives the gamification to the system. So checkboxes, quizzes, chat, that kind of thing. So as far as for an affiliate program, I don't know, Chris Van Buren, do you have a WordPress affiliate program or a standalone that doesn't have Infusionsoft?
I will share the one. Oh, sorry, you go, Chris, and I'll go after you.
Well, there's a couple. There's WP Affiliates, I think, is one that's at WordPress. Mm-hmm. I don't use any of those. There are a couple of what's called or used to be termed third-party layers that are not WordPress plugins, but they'll work with anything actually, because they're a layer that you just layer in. There's a really good simple one called OmniStar. Very simple, been around a long time. And then there's some very high-end ones. I use a very high-end one that's a layer called HasOffers. HasOffers and Cake are the two highest end. They're quite
and those are pretty expensive.
They're quite expensive, and most people, it's overkill for most people. But but they operate that way as a layer in anything. It'll work with WordPress or anything else.
Yeah. And so, Stephen, for you, I'll answer this by a roundabout way, is you may want to pick a software platform that has that integrated in. So that's where Ontraport, Infusionsoft, and a few others have the affiliate piece in. Even Kajabi, which is trying to be kind of a one-stop shop for housing your course and marketing it, they have an affiliate component. It's not very robust. It's really basic, but it works. It works. So I know I saw one of our Launch Academy students from this last time, James Mayfield Smith, was on this call, and he uses Kajabi for almost everything. So even for his pages, for housing his course, from some of the email marketing, and the affiliate program is built in there. The one that I have, hang on, Chris, the one that I have that is very inexpensive is called iDev Affiliate, and it's a standalone module that you can easily kind of port it or connect it to whatever the technologies you have. It would usually be your email marketing or whatever your database is. And iDev can just, you just do a little bit of coding and to connect them together. Yeah, Chris?
iDev's definitely maybe been around the longest, actually. They're quite well used. I was just going to echo what you said. One of the advantages people don't realize of using a built-in system, like the system inside Ontraport if you're using Ontraport, or the affiliate system inside Infusionsoft if you're using Infusionsoft, is that they have what's called, what I term solid state tracking, which means the tracking is saved with the customer data. So it's there forever. So any future orders, any future thing, you can keep tracking them. Whereas using iDev or one of the layers that I talked about, that's usually cookie tracking, and it's usually not forever unless you program it to be forever. So there is a definite advantage to having the built-in systems.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
And James Mayfield was just one of your course. I think he's one of your course students. Hey, Chris.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah. He was saying Kajabi because, and not only is Kajabi can host your course content, but it has an affiliate system built in.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And it can also do some of the email marketing now. So it's not very robust, but now you wouldn't necessarily need ActiveCampaign or GetResponse with Kajabi. You could just use Kajabi, as James has been proving. But I know, James, you had some challenges with just the features that you want, but it is a great way to just say, wow, I could almost say to somebody, you could just have one platform to basically do most of what you need, and that could be Kajabi. So we got a couple other questions here. So anonymous attendee, what are one or two ways to leverage podcasting to bring people into your online program? Well, I'll just speak to that. And I know a little bit from my own end and from talking with Catherine. So leverage podcasting to bring people. So if you are the podcaster, so this is the key thing Catherine was saying, is one side is that you are looking for people to be interviewed on their podcast. And then at the end of the podcast, you would talk about, hey, get my free ebook. Let's put the link up here, talk about it. And then people listening to the podcast go and they give their email address and they download your ebook, right? So that's one way. The flip of that is if you are podcasting, then you can use those times in your podcast to make an offer to talk about your program. So you take a break in the middle and talk about it, or you use the interview as a way to come back to your program, or just end your podcast by saying, hey, and also you can join my course that's starting this next week. And you're reaching an audience, and you're making a public service announcement or, a commercial ad, if you will, at the end of your podcast.
Quick extra tip on that.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No.
I was just going to say that, the people that you're interviewing on your podcast, if they have any sort of list, you're going to encourage them to promote that episode to their list. And so then you've got more people coming to you that way. And so you can grow your list through your guests.
Great. Chris?
And I was just going to say a quick tip on when you're on someone else's podcast, set yourself up a simple URL on your primary website. So you've got abc.com/thank you. or abc.com/gift or something like that. That's super easy to remember, super easy to say on when you're on a radio show or online, and it never changes because you can redirect that to any place else you need to redirect it at any time. So it's permanent, and it's just a tip. Everybody should kind of handle it that way.
That's great. That's a great idea, especially about I mean, you could make different gifts, but if you just did it /gift, you can change that up anytime, and you don't have to worry. As long as you have something there, you can just put a different content or different page, but it's always gift. Got it. I like it. Great. And then Stephen, another question. Thanks. We answered your earlier question. What discount have you negotiated with Ontraport? Well, definitely check out the launchacademycourse.com page and find that bonus. What we've done is that the pro version of Ontraport is typically $300, $297. And what we've negotiated is half of that. So it's Ontraport Pro. The only thing is that they've reduced the number of contacts to 2,500. So for most people coming to Launch Academy, that's fine and that works for them. And then, as you build your list, you get above that, and then you go to the next level in Ontraport. But typically that can save you a whole year of half the price or more before you have to jump up.
And that's per month, right?
That's per month. Right. So that's
now $150 a month.
A month, right. So we figured when you look at the Ontraport saving with Access Ally, the special deal we have there is those two pieces together, we're saving you about $1,800 a year between those two programs. And obviously if you have to pop up, it may not be $1,800 for every year thereafter, but it's pretty good, at least in that first year savings for you, if not beyond that. Wow, there's still a lot of people on the line, which is so awesome. Thank you for being here. If you have any question, I think those were all the questions that were queued up. I'm really appreciating James Mayfield Smith. I love that you're bringing in some of what you've learned and pieces in the chat there. Thank you. James just completed Launch Academy, this last iteration of it, and I'm super excited for what he's been creating in his business. And so I think we'll wrap up with just inviting you. There is still plenty of time to enroll, but it's also running out of runway to enroll. So for Launch Academy starts this coming Tuesday, May 8th. Again, wanted to remind you, no worries if you can't make that call. A number of people have already told me that are signed up that can't make it. It will be recorded, and we have 4 months together in the program, so plenty of time to get caught up, do the work you need. And we really are going into a deep dive community building experience with Launch Academy so that you come out ready, fired up, and have all the tools and resources you need to launch your powerful and profitable online course. So join me in Launch Academy. Jeff will be there. He will be expert faculty. Chris will be there, expert faculty. Catherine's on expert faculty. And you heard from Lion, you heard from Christina, you see James in here. All of them are on our private Facebook group that you can only get to by being in Launch Academy. So get this, that they're going to be advisors and coaches and willing to help. Yeah, I did this, and here's a resource. So don't miss the fact that you're also going to build relationships with graduates from Launch Academy on the Facebook page from the last couple of years. So look forward to seeing you in the course. And thank you again, Chris. Thank you, Jeff. It's great having you here.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Really appreciate it. All right, everyone. See you later.